Uh, Thanks, Sam. No, I genuinely was just lagging, I think.
Thank you. I like being referred to as both wise and sexy. Just a minor issue. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Excellent.
Thank you all.
Let's do it. Oh, sign in to continue? Come on, Sam. Take the password protection off. What are you doing?
Has he given us a classic Sam move of not giving us access? It's how secret these lists are that you just need access to get to them. He's locked us out. I think Twitch gives you like a little pity
Feed
views.
viewers. Yeah.
Actually just six. Jenny got six tabs open. Thank you all.
Hey, look, we got the important stuff sorted, which is the ability to hear and speak. I do.
Yep.
I do. So Southcon is part of the Otago Miniature Tactician Society, one of the events that we hold each year. League Go South is the event that we've held for Middle Earth League for the last, I think it's 9 years, maybe 10 years, something like that. It's a lot of years anyway. I have traditionally run this. It's a nice, lovely 650 point event. However, this year I get to play, which is super exciting. Andrew has stepped up and said that he's going to run the event on the day. which means that I am going to get the opportunity to play. So 650 points, 5 rounds, and as with every other League Go South that we've run, we have a theme for this one.
We do?
We do.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the key to change the slide. Come on.
Oh,
Yeah, just
miscue, Sam, miscue.
low ball on it for you, mate. Sorry. And cue. Excellent. So our theme this year, we've gone with the Fast and the Furious, because we want to know if you're ready to live your life a quarter of an inch at a time.
How
So we
silly
have
of
got.
us not knowing that was the theme going into this.
I know it's not like I wrote it in the player pack. Oh, I wrote it in the player pack. Apparently, everyone who's written their lists actually, which is quite
It's
interesting.
600-point event, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
So day one, we've got all 3 maneuvering scenarios. So that is Reconnoiter, Divide and Conquer, and the ever controversial Storm the Camp. And on day 2, we've got 2 Maelstrom scenarios. So Command the Battlefield and Hold Ground. So obviously day 1 is fast, and day 2, by the end of it, you'll be furious because that one warband is not going to come on in the place that you want it. Yeah. That's fair enough. Hey, look, we don't care if you get the theme as long as you read the scenarios and build an army list to the scenarios.
Maybe
And I
you
tell
can
you what, people have.
Hope it hasn't
maybe you
now.
can give us 8 more Fast and Furious in a row after this tournament, and we'll get it back last one.
Sure thing.
No one will be
Too
asking for
fast,
the
too
ninth. I
furious.
can tell you that much.
Yeah. This is all building up to the ultimate tournament, which will be 6 rounds of Storm the Camp. It'll just be me playing on my own because no one wants to do that.
Are
Sorry,
you or
just
Andrew Vin
I was
Diesel
just
in this
sorry.
situation?
Before we go on, I was just told that the stream didn't have Sam's sound, and that is the most important sound. And so, if firstly, thanks to the people who sat here for fucking 10 minutes and didn't say anything, and secondly, thanks to the person who does. See, hold on. How is your second comment? Your second comment is there's a theme. Your second comment is sorry that Sam doesn't have audio. Why is your first comment not Sam? There's no audio. Instead, you
Maybe
made a
that first
comment
person
about
was
like
loving no Sam audio.
maybe they were. I can't believe how they've just set me up like that. They just asked a question about the content as though the content was all fine, no problem at all. It genuinely gave it. Oh, okay. Well, if we're talking about this, everything must be fine. And then the second person says, "There's no sound." Just outrageous. Just outrageous. A setup. Anyway, you've got me now. And I'm trying to talk a lot now to sort of make up for the 7 or 8 minutes of me you missed before. Just laugh through the previous quiet stuff. That's all you need to know. It was funny. It was objectively funny. Sorry, George, you were saying something about Andrew. Is that right?
I was just wondering whether Andrew or Damien are Vin Diesel in this situation.
No. No, I'm not even going to try and
Neither
bumble
of
my
you?
way
There we
through
go.
something hilarious there. I'm just going to give up straight away.
Is this Damien? You know what George is referring to, don't you? This isn't like a thing where you've just made up Fast and Furious on your own with no actual context. It's movies, right, Damien? You're aware of that? You're aware that it's a reference to
These
films, to cinema?
movies? Is this some kind of revolutionary pictures that move?
Go to the pictures. It's when Phil up front plays the piano,
Yeah,
accompanying music for
yeah,
you know the one. Yeah, it's good. It's good.
yeah.
Right. Now that we have audio, and we just consider this whole previous thing just like an audio test. So if you're on YouTube, I hope you skip the last 10 minutes and come into us now. Should we get into the
Why don't
lists?
you just cut that out? Just cut it out.
I'm not going to do that. No,
Get
that
to the
sounds like
lists.
far too much work. And they'd miss
Get
all
to
the
the
good
damn
stuff
It's
that
lists.
you guys have
admin.
done. They'd miss all the good stuff that you guys have done. As George said, my talking is the worst part of this.
None of the list would make sense if they weren't told about the theme, Damien. they just
Exactly.
jumped in without being given a theme, it'd be pointless.
Why do we all
Absolutely.
here? Why
Look,
will we all be here?
Look, it's regardless of the theme, it's about the scenarios that were picked. And as Andrew and I were putting this together, we were talking about how we're going to be real interested to see what comes through in terms of army lists. And this is our first one here, which is our first list for Angmar. So we've got Witch King
Makes
with
sense.
a crown of Morgul on a horse, 3 extra might, 3 extra will, 3 extra fate. 8 Angmar orcs with a shield, 7 Angmar orcs with a spear and shield, 1 Angmar orc with a banner, shield, and spear. We've got Gullivar, the Terror of Arnor. We've got an Angmar orc captain on a warg with a shield, 5 Angmar orc warriors with a shield, 5 Angmar orc warriors with a shield and spear, 1 Angmar warg rider, and the New Zealand Middle Earth character Ridge Dice Bearer on a horse.
Wow, wait.
That's Vin Diesel right there. Ridge is Vin
That's
Diesel in
Vin
this situation.
Diesel. I think Gullivar's Vin Diesel. You know, I think it's Ridge.
Nah.
It's Ridge.
Otherwise, like The Rock or whatever.
Far out. What do you
Pretty
think?
like
Sorry, go on.
standard Angmar list, right? Like, except it feels like it's missing 40 points.
That's pretty
I'd
much.
really do with
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a bear ride or
Standard,
something.
but just a weaker
Yeah.
Angmar list. Yeah.
What's basic like will starting count for Witch King? 10?
I think
Yeah.
it's 10.
I think 13 is a little light for me personally.
I reckon 13 is about right. I wouldn't go higher.
I would
I
go,
mean,
I would go higher.
Sam and I have very conflicting views on
You wanted to do stuff.
what a Witch King loadout should be.
If you go 13, he can cast like 1 or 2 spells and then just fight, or fight like once or twice and cast spells. You go like 15 or something, he can do both. All game.
What?
That's
It's
the way to go.
13 will. He can cast like 7 or 8 spells and stuff like that. What are you on about? He used to re-roll each will without throwing
I
more
know
than
how
one
he
of anything.
works, George. I just think that, you know, if you let yourself get down to 2 will, it's pretty sketchy, you know? Game's got to be over at that point.
It sounds like you played a good game if you've got down to 2 will.
Yeah, well, maybe. Or maybe you get down to 2 will, you go, shit, I wish I had 2 more. That sounds more likely. I don't know.
Obviously,
I take one of Witch King will over an extra Angmar Orc any other week. Sorry, Damien.
the big thing here is we've got Witch King and Gullivar as our spirits, and that's it. They've decided that they need that orc captain probably for the march to get places with these scenarios.
On that note, sorry, very quickly, someone in the chat's just commented on you still have 40 models with 15 will. Well, actually, this is actually a 30. I think it's a typo. I think it's a 32, isn't it, Damien? This is not 42.
If I've typoed that, then it's all on me.
I mean, looking at that, it's like 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Maybe I think it's probably 30, 31, 32.
Yeah,
Isn't it?
okay.
Even more so. Drop a will, drop 2 will and a fate even, and get 3 more guys.
Oh, no,
Okay.
you want a 3-11-1, 3-11-2 Witch King.
3-12-2.
It's him
I
and
reckon
Gullivar
I'll
the
be
only
pretty
things in
happy.
this. It's him and Gullivar. Yeah, might as well drop the Witch King, exactly. It's him and Gullivar the only things in this that are doing anything. You can't completely neuter him.
3-12-2, drop a shield off the orc captain. Resolve an extra 2-3 model. Damien, you can speak first-hand experience about low model count Angmar.
Low model count Angmar is interesting. I'm not gonna lie, Angmar was one of the lists I was looking at bringing myself to this event, and I got supremely worried about my low model count with the scenarios in play, and I was just like, no, I don't have the brain space to do it. So to see someone come through and do it, look, you've got 2 big threats there. You've got your Witch King and Gullivar. Gullivar's obviously got the speed going for him, her, them. I don't know. I'm not assuming the gender. But it's slow, but it should be able to hold out. I don't know how much punch it's got though.
Should it be able to hold out?
There's no two-handed weapons there. It'll be able to hold out because there's Terra and there's Harbinger.
That'll help. That
So
will help. My audio
yeah.
is very quiet. Gee, that's probably for the best. A lot of people would say that's how it should be. Ideally silent, they might say. I'll just project. And Fleen Baggins, if you can please let me know if my audio levels are better now. That's the most important thing about all this. I don't really care what Damien and George have to say. I need to be audible at all times, and ideally at the front of the queue in terms of audibility and ability to speak over them.
It's still It still obviously poses a massive threat with Compel into a Gulliver. That's just terrifying. And I mean, we didn't quite go over
Oh
like
yeah.
what the scenarios were. But
Do you
with
want
things
to
like
go? Do you
recon,
want to go back very quickly to the scenarios?
yeah, if we quickly
Right,
move, I think it's worth giving
because
a bit
someone
of
just
context
asked
to
what
what
the
the scenarios
scenarios
were.
and so it's a 650 point event for those who are inquiring, and scenarios are recon, so across the battlefield, divide and conquer, so start at opposite corners and try and get to those 3 middle objectives. Storm the camp, so again start opposite corners and sort of try and get to each other's corner. Command the battlefield for that's where you don't want to be in the middle, don't you? But you've got the 4 corners.
Yep, whole
So
quarters.
it's a
Yep.
maelstrom. You want to hold quarters of the board, and hold ground, which is the opposite. You want maelstrom, but you're just hurtling into the middle at top speed. So you're right. There is a lot of speed ones. There is a lot of maneuverability ones, and Gulliver is great for that. But the problem with these speed maneuverability ones is Gulliver and Recon is one man. Gulliver and Divide and Conquer is one man. Gulliver and Storm the Camp is one man. Gulliver and Command the Battlefield, hold the ground. He's just all one man. Where is he getting you on his own? And I think the problem I have with this list is that Gulliver, yeah, cool, great, no problem. Witch King, also great. Don't get me wrong. There is nothing else. There is nothing else here, and there isn't even enough numbers, I think, necessarily to stick around for long enough to actually keep your army going while those two do work. Because they can all
So
work, but they can't kill everything in the 2 or 3 turns it's going to take for the rest of this army to crumble like your grandmother's hip.
I guess if Ridge Dice Bear was a Barrowite, how do you feel about this? Because overall, this sounds like an issue with just like generic Angmar, right?
That's true. That's true. I mean, I'd
Like,
rather see it be a
like for
bird,
you,
frankly.
what makes this list better?
I'd rather see I'd probably get a captain and a ridge turned into a birder. Would be if that's my sort of my dream scenario. And you got 3 heroes that can kill stuff.
I'm even at the point where we got 2 big heroes. Do we need the 2 big heroes? Do we drop one of them and get some more bodies, get some more march in there?
Well, that's true.
I think you need March. Like, I don't think you can afford to drop the captain purely for March. But the scenarios we have, like Angmar just
The
has
speed,
no
that's true. The
maneuverability
speed's
outside
important.
of it.
That's true. But
Yeah.
I just, especially because the other thing about these scenarios, a lot of them are going to be split up as well. And this does not look like an army to me. I mean, it's going to be totally stoked about splitting in half or coming in separately. Like, it's going to struggle when it's all in one place. When it's in half, I mean, Orc Captain, 11 Angmar Orcs, and Gulliver. I mean, Gulliver's going to kill stuff. He's going to fight 2 or 3 models a turn. Everything else is going to die in 2 turns.
I know I designed the profile, but how does Ridge Dice Bearer work in Maelstrom? Is he attached to a warband or is he on one solo? I can't remember. He's
He
a
was
warband
not
drop. He's on
attached
his
to a
own.
warband in
He,
the list that we
he
got.
can be made
So
as
he's,
one of
he's
these.
an independent hero, so you can attach him to one, but he
Yeah.
was not.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, and the people like Wag Chieftains. I don't disagree about the Wag Chieftains. I just think that, and you're right, that movement's important, but it just feels a little, there's not. I'm looking at this list. I'm like, who's doing what? Who's doing what here? 2 guys are carrying it on their back, and the rest of them are just hanging out, but not for that long.
I don't know. Maybe that's the
I think
play.
that's just
Maybe the play is
650
the
Angmar in a
shield up.
nutshell, though.
And maybe it is.
Yeah.
That's very true. Could be true. Could be true. Well, there we go. No bows either. Who needs them? What a waste of time. You missed out on that sweet Angmar shooting. That's a real shame. Real shame.
Tell you what, this list does not want to see any other shooting, though.
Does not want to see any other shooting. I'm sure we won't see any shooting. So
Particularly with Gulliver, like recent FAQs around
yeah,
not being able to hide behind lines.
pretty brutal one. All right, next one. He says, failing to click a button. All right. Azog's Hunters. Here we go. Spicy little meatballs. Going off last year's, there won't be any. Yeah, exactly. No shooting. Azog's Hunters. So we've got Bolg leading the charge on his Felvarg. He's got 700 orcs, 200 orcs with pick, 300 orcs on wargs, 100 orc on the banner, and a couple more wargs on their own. Then Fimble on a warg leading 300 orc bows, 300 orcs with wargs and bows, and 2 just plain wargs. And then a 100 orc captain with a 2-handed pick leading 600 orcs, 100 orc with 2-handed pick, 300 orcs with bows, and 2 more fell wargs. 38 models, sounds about right. 8 might, 10 bows. What do we think of this?
So
A heap of
George
speed,
and
right?
I, have had a lot of discussions about warhorns and hunter orcs. And what's my rule, George?
I mean, going on limits, never leave home without a warhorn.
Never leave home without a warhorn. This is my list. I have left home without a warhorn.
I like that the very first list was the Terra Angmar as well.
Okay, so this is my list, and you know I love my warhorn on these guys because courage 2, courage 1 when Harbinger gets into play, and I was looking at the scenarios and I was just like, what do I need? Do I need the courage or do I need more bodies? And I made the call this time to go with more bodies. And then I started checking the lists that started coming in. Yeah, every list that had come in previously, I just shunted it straight to Andrew. I'm just like, I'm not looking at this. I haven't locked my list in. And then I come back and I was just like, oh God, there's way more terror than I expected. Spoilers.
Is it Dunedin famous for just Curtin in every single list?
But that's what I've gone for. I've gone for speed here. And I see someone in the chat is asking me, why not a Nazug or a Yaznig? And the answer there is they don't have March. That
March.
generic Hunter Orc Captain is there for March. I know Bolg has March, but if I'm using Bolg's Might for March, I might be doing some things wrong. The Hunter Orc Captain is there for the March. Fimbul is there to be on a Warg and go through terrain.
I mean, the thing that stands out to me is one, I love the six Wargs, and then you've really doubled down on the speed with another six on Orcs on Farewell just to get that
It's
extra movement
fast.
speed.
It
Like,
is fast.
it's a very fast, considering you've still got 30 out models age, we don't hate it either.
No.
I also really like, I love Hunter Orc Captain on foot. 3 attacks for 45 points is absolutely incredible.
Big fan. Big fan. Two-handed pick is an upgrade, so it's not a swap out. So you've got the option to go hard, or you've got the option to just fight normally as well. So bit of punch there. Really like it.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with
I
the person
like
who's just
that.
commented on the two-handed pick. That is a strong choice. Is a very good way to describe that. I was going to use a different way to describe that, but a strong choice is certainly that could be characterized thusly. A two-handed weapon on the captain. I mean, are you ever going to use that? Really?
I've used it in the past, so yes. Is it going to be
Have you used
useful
it in
in
the past?
every game? Yeah, I have. I tell you what, it's real freaking useful when you're going into Dead of Dunharrow. That's for freaking sure.
Are you ever going to? You
Um,
got no Warhorn though. You're never
Yeah, how
going
do
to
you
use Dead of
charge the
Dunharrow.
dude?
Absolutely. So when they gang up on me, I got to make sure that I win and hurt them.
Of course, of course.
Because they're picking the fights.
I mean, it's in this day and age.
It's a defensive
if you're
weapon.
going to a tournament without a defensive response to being ganged up on by 3 Dead of Dunharrow, then you're a joke, really. If you're not going there ready for that Dead of Dunharrow trap, you're wasting your time as far as I'm concerned.
Damien, was there any consideration around getting a Goblin Merc Captain ally and going down that route at all?
Yes, and I do like my Goblin Mercs. I looked at a bunch
very good for
of
scenario.
ally options. I was also looking at spiders at one point as well. But I decided just to go with the vanilla this time. And again, it's around making sure that I had March in there and I had the speed. When I was making decisions to do the allying, I was needing to drop one of my Azog's Hunters characters, and I really didn't want to drop Fimble or the captain. Yeah. We will see how this plays out.
Do the Goblin Merc
Choices
captains
were
not
made.
have March themselves?
Yeah, but they're not
Yes.
often deployed with the line.
Yeah. Do they end up getting isolated? And look, as much as I love my goblins, there's not 110 of them with just one blob of Merc captains. And I think I'd play it wrong if I didn't have another, 98 goblins to back it up. I think I'd just be like, they're goblins, and then realize very, very quickly I can't play like that.
I like that there's just like a subtle but sneaky 10 bows in here as well.
Exactly.
I was
just going to say, you don't need to bother charging that previous Angmar list. The lack of Warhorn's not going to worry you. Just shoot them. They can't do anything about it. What are they going to do? They'll have to charge you. You can just stand there and shoot. It's actually genius.
Mog's obviously going to be a heck of a threat at 650 as well. I
Mm.
mean,
Oh yeah.
I can't imagine there's too much outside of maybe the one list we've seen in Witch King and Gulliver that are going to be able to deal with him. But I imagine Witch King Gulliver will have a field day. But on paper, I would say that might be your hardest matchup before we've seen any of the other lists yet, Damien.
It's your hardest matchup we've seen so far.
So
I think we can all agree on that.
so
We've seen
yeah,
one list,
I,
and it seems like a
yeah,
horrific matchup for
but
you.
100% of the lists that we've seen so far will be difficult for me. Cool, awesome,
Let's
noted.
go with the next
Mind
one and
you,
see if that.
if you get any one of the 6 speed scenarios, you're probably fine because it won't be able to do anything.
If only the
Or 5.
scenarios were themed around getting places.
All right. Speaking of getting places, speaking of the ability to march places, have I got a list for you, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Black Riders is our next list. Speaking of things that are likely to give Damien the absolute shits and get places quite quickly, we've got what have we got? We got a Witch King with a horse, 2 fate, and 3 might. We've got 3 wraiths with 2 might, and then we got 4 more wraiths with what, a fate and 2 might. 8 models, 8 wraiths, not quite 9. 17 might. Who needs bows?
Great fate count on the Witch King. Love that.
Audible sigh of
Outside of
disappointment.
that's the only compliment I'm going to be giving this list.
Can I just say, before everyone goes off at me and goes off at me in the bloody chat, this wasn't me. This is not me. This is not me. I may have brought it back. I may have popularized it. But, you know, it wasn't me who brung it this time.
But you know, you've got experience running this.
Not me. I
So
do.
yeah, I know.
Sorry,
So
that's
so
someone else.
talk to it.
Talk to it. All right. So, people ask me after finals, how'd your games go, Sam? I prepared like a standard template. My opponent had easy heroes to kill or weak or easy heroes to kill or strong heroes, and so if they had strong heroes, killed their troops with black darts, or if they had weak heroes, killed their heroes with black darts, and then I finished off by charging the other thing that I haven't already killed, and that's basically how it goes. So as far as I can see, this seems like a pretty reasonable way to draft the list. I am a little sketchy about having 3 wraiths without fate. I think when I did this, I took 2 might off one of those wraiths. So I had a 070 wraith, and then the rest were all 271, I think, is how I did it. Because I like having the point of fate on them. I find I've had bad experiences in the past with, you know, 1 cheeky wound roll, 1 cheeky arrow. See you later, sorry. Go home. I feel like a 070 is something that can still contribute, and it's not a big deal if it gets killed. It is just very, very powerful. I think possibly I looked at bringing it for this, and I think I thought that the scenarios were not quite right for it. Speed is a thing it's great at, yes, but splitting up is not a thing it's necessarily great at. There's a lot of scenarios require you to split up, and also sheer numbers in places is not a thing
Just
it's great
numbers.
at, and there's a lot of scenarios require numbers. So for me, yes, the pace, but my worst experience with this list have always been when I've had to split up. Like playing recon or destroy the supplies or something, when you've got to split up and defend lots of space or split up and take lots of things at once, that's really hard for it. And yeah, just trying to do a whole ground or a divide and conquer can be tough just by sheer value of trying to be in the middle on 2 or 3 different objectives or overnumbering somebody.
At least there's sort of nothing from that objective pool, right? Like there's no breakthrough, there's no domination. It's divide and conquer in that pool, actually, maybe. But in terms of like, it needs to be in 5 or 6 different places at once outside of maybe Command the Battlefield.
Honestly,
But typically, Command the Battlefield ends up being like a big scrap in the middle, and then in the last few turns of the game, you disperse.
even 2 or 3 places at once can be tough. Like 5 or 6 is obviously is bad, but even 2 or 3 can be. 5 or 6 is almost better because you find that your opponent's got 1 or 2 things on something, and then maybe they'll just flee off, or you can just walk them away. It's when your opponent you've got to split up and you only get 2 or 3 models in each place, but your opponent's got 3 or 4 models in each place. That's when I find it's quite kind of its hardest, and that is, I think, a lot of these scenarios here. So I'm very keen to see how this one goes. I'm probably just going to throw all my games and go and watch this instead, because I have really missed my riders. George has banned me from taking them anywhere this year, and I really miss them. And I am just going to live vicariously through this person. All the other
I'm
thing
just going to match you up
sorry,
against this person every single round.
I would not want to face it, but that also depends on. I came into finals last year having played 20 competitive games and tournaments with it before I got to finals with Black Riders, and so I was. I mean, I'm saying I won them all, but just having a lot of practice helped a lot. 'Cause it's a list that's like unlike anything else, and you really need to know what you can and can't do, and how far you can and can't push it, and where you shouldn't spend resources. And so I'd be keen to see how much practice this person's had, because I think that will be the most important thing, is how much they can just go into a game and just know what they have to do straight away. So exciting.
Next list.
I've said my piece. I'm gonna stop talking for a couple of minutes. Someone else read this one.
I can jump on that. Alrighty. So next list is courses and Serpent Horde with Dalmir as leader, leading 10 crossbows, 6 black Numenorians, and 2 Corsairs of Umber with spear and shield. Joining them, we also have a bowman with crossbow, 10 Corsair Reavers with weapon swaps, so presumably some axes on those bows. And then allied into the Serpent Horde, we have Dunedin on Armored Horse, 7 Harrod with spear and bow, and then 3 Serpent Riders and 3 Haradrim Warriors with spear, for a total of 45 models and more specifically 18 bows/crossbows.
How good? How good is
Cool
this?
list.
Just
A
superb.
very cool list.
Wow.
This has got a stupid amount of damage output.
A stupid amount of damage output.
Absolutely stupid amount of damage output. And you can't stay back from it. Like, it's going to force you to engage. We've got 18 bows there and a handful of throwing weapons, including on characters.
11 crossbows
So
and 7 bows, I should say. 11 crossbows there.
Yep. There's a lot of hurt there. If you try and kite for too long, they're going to try and whittle you down. And once you engage, my god, there's a blender of pain in there.
I don't think anything outside of something blinding lights kiting this. Everything else is just going to have to try.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Stuff
Go
as soon
as
as
fast as they
possible.
can into it, yeah.
I really like that it's a split of crossbows versus bows. Obviously, I took a whole bunch of crossbows to a recent event, and it does really struggle in some of these objective style or speed scenarios when you can't move your bows, obviously. So having the 7 Harrod Warriors there to be able to support that when the crossbows are needing to move, you've still got some shooting outputs, really, really useful. Of course, 10 Corsair Reavers, not a unit we see very often. Like you said, can just put you in the blender and absolutely destroy you. Or if that bosun dies, they're going to be spicy. As Sam likes to say, a spicy little meatball.
A spicy little meatball. To the people in chat, I'm told that these are axes. I think the weapon swaps are, not flails. The Wellington flails meta hasn't snuck that far down south so far, nor has the whip meta.
I was going to say whips, and someone's already just jumped into the chat with it. So
no, I think these will be axes. I'm pretty sure, because you want that piercing strike +1 to wound plus backstabber thing going for you. Yikes. This is absolutely feral. We all know it. This is going to clean up, unfortunately, Damien. This is not something you're going to be stoked to face. The combination of the terror and the fight 4 across the board, and the also 2 attacks back at you, and the bigger banner, and the crossbows, and the throwing weapons. It's just this is everything you want to do, but more and better, I think is fair to say.
That's true, and yet against this list, I'm fine with my decision to not take a Warhorn. You know what? Those 6 black Numenorians, there's 6 of them. There's fine. There's plenty of other things that I can get stuck into.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And you're a lot
the
faster
6 Numenorians are something that stand out to me. Is the 6 black Numenorians really doing something here? Could they not just be 6 Corsairs with throwing weapons and just really double down on the throwing weapons, the shooting, and that whole kiting
I have
aspect?
found them to be a superb blocker, a superb slower downer of things. I don't think you need any more shooting than you already have, frankly. If you haven't got enough shooting on this, God help you. But I think it's something D6 with Terra that's a bit resilient, can slow things down, and can withstand a couple of turns of combat, I think is actually a lot more valuable than you think. Some of my best Corsair games are when I've had a sprinkle of Numenorians in there just to sort of, tank a few shots or take a couple of hits or slow down the choke point with Terra for a couple of turns. I think it's more. I think rather than just more of the same, add another little, something else in your toolbox.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got an option.
Yeah.
You've got an option.
Yeah.
In a bunch of games, will they just be dudes walking around doing stuff? Yeah. But
sure.
Are you going to have 1 or 2 games where it's just like, oh, cool, I can leverage this?
I'm against Hunter Orcs.
Yep. Again, just having that in your toolbox, I agree, Sam, is really, really useful.
Yes, thank you to person in chat who said that. That was exactly the games that I was thinking about when I talked about the Black Nums. I think they were. I've had some good times with them in Corsairs in the past. They were
And
really
one good Corsair show us.
I've had one or two good Corsair showings, but both of them with Black Numerians.
I like the 3 Serpent Riders. Obviously, catching on that there is some speed required for the scenarios. They're
Yes.
a superb unit for taking solid, and why not chuck 3 of them in there?
Mm-hmm.
3 feels like the correct amount as well, nothing too heavy.
No, but you need it because otherwise Corsairs are famously not particularly rapid.
40, 45 models is pretty much
It's
where you want to be with this type of list.
insane.
It's huge for some of these
Insane at
things.
650 with, you know,
The thing which worries me a little bit about this list is something like Maelstrom. If it doesn't get that shooting, it just has to get stuck in right away without having a huge amount of thrown weapons. If it does just get straight into combats and those Reavers don't sort of come out on top and win that first round of combat, once those Reavers go down, there isn't too much to actually pack punch you.
that's true. That's true. It is going to be a very. I mean, if you're talking about a split in half army as well, like this is going to function way less when it's in half. Where you got a bosun
Mhm.
and Delamere, your front line's about 25 models wide and 1 model deep. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to blow a lot of might and Maelstrom to stay together, as it should do.
Very true.
Does the bosun have might?
One. Yeah. So not a lot of might, but that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it interesting. It's not just a gimme. When it goes off, it'll be a gimme.
Delamere's obviously. I really like when you use Delamere as your leader and let you play a little bit more liberal with Sworden, because he's going to need to just jump into combat and grab a few kills as well.
Just two or three. Sneaky little fella.
I guess one thing we didn't mention, and it'll probably no doubt come up later, is I've no doubt someone picks up on it, that there's actually no banner VPs in any of these scenarios. So arguably diminishes the value of Sworden ever so slightly, but it also, I think, means you're a lot more comfortable when Delamere's your leader and there are no banner
That's true.
VP just to go
Chuck him
crazy
in.
with Sworden.
Yep.
And it
Yep.
means you're going to have that freedom not to worry about him in the slightest. He's worth 0 VPs in any of these games.
Very true. It's actually very true.
Yep. Very, very true.
Still good though. Still keep him alive. He's great. But yeah. All right. Next up, we have something less frightening, hopefully. Oh dear. I was wrong. It wasn't something less frightening. It was something far worse. Damien, I don't want to read this. I'm looking away.
Yeah, okay, that's fair enough. I'll take this one.
I used my I don't want to do it on Black Riders, Samsung, and on Dragon Emperor. Damien, you get one later.
Okay, right. Noted. Thank you. Host of the Dragon Emperor Legendary Legion. So we've got our Dragon Emperor. He has got 1 Cataphract, which is upgraded to a Black Dragon, and 17 Easterling Warriors, all upgraded to Black Dragons with shields and pikes. No surprises there, really. We got Brogger, and she is coming with 5 warriors with shield, 1 warrior with no shield, and 3 Dragon Cult Acolytes. And then we've got Easterling Dragon Knight on an armored horse coming along with 2 Black Dragon Cataphracts. 32 models, 7 might, no bows. It's Dragon Emperor.
Is that 32 models or 35 models? I feel like I've seen the flip and it was 35 models on the path.
Wow,
So.
if maybe something has changed here. Look,
Just something set some points out of this.
Yeah. The person who took this list also sent another list that they were like, I was thinking about taking this. I was like, oh, that's a way more interesting list. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this one.
We can talk about the boring list, the boring one. That's what we can talk about.
Well, the thing about the Dragon Emperor list is you don't see a lot of variation in it. And the reason that you don't see a lot of variation in it is that there is an optimal way to play it. And this is it. This is your configuration, right?
So this is actually where I'm in a little bit of disagreement. And I've had a lot of back and forth with business playing this list. I'm sure everyone will work out with it pretty swiftly.
Wonder who it could be.
And there's actually been a few showings recently overseas of Broger being dropped and Rutabi being dropped and Dragon Knights on foot as the alternative.
That's on foot.
And I really, really like the Dragon Knight on foot. alternative, and there was a lot of back and forth, but ultimately they decided that they see too hard value in brawl gear. Like, because if you're versing Black New Marines, which is everywhere, brawl gear is obviously pretty invaluable there.
Yeah.
But the Dragonite on foot version, I reckon personally, is a better version of Dragon Emperor Legion. But also, it's just
Just when you think
exciting
it
that there's
can't get any
multiple
different,
variations.
just when you think, the meta's all worked out, some fucker comes along and says, actually, the players drop
Actually,
Ratabi,
take them off their
drop Broadgear,
horses.
Dragon Knights on foot.
Yeah.
Not even Dragon Knights, Dragon Knights on foot. Where does this come from? Where does this shit come from? God, I wish I was playing Black Riders into this. Person, if you're
But
playing,
is
no, I want to start. Whenever we see a list that I hate, I'm just going to tell Black Riders person, Black Riders person, you cast 8 Black Darts to the Dragon Emperor first turn. He is dead, 100% guaranteed. If he's not, do it again the second turn. And then, I don't know, do the fuck you want after that. March, Black Dart, 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 Black Dart. Dead. Done. There you go. That's my tip for you.
I guess jokes aside, it's
I hate
probably the
this.
first time we've
I'm
seen
not joking.
Dragon
I
Emperor
hate this.
since Nerf at in
how do we
the
mute
in the
Sam?
event.
You can't. I'm in
Um,
charge. I run this.
it'll be
Is,
interesting to see how it goes after Nerf. Like 32 does feel significantly worse than 35. However, there's always that little asterisk of actually it can be 39 whenever the hell it wants to be, or 40, whatever it is,
that's
by
true. Yeah.
dismounting the Dragon Emperor, and then you're winning whole ground,
38.
and then all of a sudden they get 7 more models, and you just want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. Greek Dragon
I
Cult Acolytes, a little interesting,
That is
not
interesting as well. I
something
think that's, no,
typically I always see.
that's what stood out to me as well.
Funway unit, I suspect it is, as you guys have been highlighting with other things, just like that extra thing in your toolbox of may come in handy.
Yeah.
Actually, given the scenarios, I wouldn't have hated like 2 or 3 bows in this list. I know it's not a list we typically see bows get added to, but I think just with like the Storm the Camp and Recon and a few things like that, I wouldn't have hated just to sprinkle in a few bows.
Do you need any bows though if you've got a 6x3 block of Easterlings just going thunk into someone's camp?
You don't, but I mean, if you're keeping guys at the back of the board for Storm the Camp or something, do I hate a bow on them? No. I mean,
Potentially, I see where you're coming from. I know that with that war drum there, this list is deceptively fast and deceptively maneuverable. So,
I don't even think
you
it's
know,
deceptively anymore. I think everyone
Yeah.
just knows it's ridiculously fast and ridiculously maneuverable
But in saying
for
that,
what should be a pike block.
if it's a 32 model army, if you're letting an 18 model pike block walk into your camp, drums are banging, what were you doing for the previous 4 turns? It's my question to you. It's not as
moaning
though
the fact that
they're
you were
fast, they're
Angmar,
maneuverable.
you didn't have any
Yeah,
bows.
well, that's true. They're fast, they're maneuverable, but it's not like, GG. I mean, if you're Angmar, you're going, I hate to do this, run forward, Black Dart, bang, nice drum, bitch. Like there's
I,
solutions
I
to this. They
think
don't just stay there and go, oh my goodness, it's coming. What am I
where
doing?
where this list can feel like it goes wrong sometimes, and I'm the first advocate of I think Dragon Emperor is ridiculously busted. The
Hmm.
whole list. So don't get me wrong when I say go wrong, it's not that wrong. It's a ridiculously powerful list. But I think if you have a game where Brawl Gear doesn't show up, if the Fury isn't relevant because there's no Fury in the other team, and your Tremors don't go off, or they do go off but they aren't super impactful, it's a big chunk of your army that's doing nothing. It's a very useless model if those Tremors aren't happening and if that Fury isn't relevant. And then it really does discount to a Dragon Emperor who's pretty stationary and can't really move
Yeah.
about. And it's just a one Dragonite off to the side. And if you've got a Witch King or any sort of magic, like you can control that model
So
fairly
easy,
easily as
so
well.
easy. Yeah. Free.
And that's I think why I prefer the Dragon Knight variation of just Dragon Knights on foot, because it feels like in those games where Brawl Gear goes off, you feel really bad, whereas it's just a bit more stable if you don't have Brawl Gear in the first place. Then the argument is if you verse TRA, you're in trouble. So there's both sides to it. But I think if you have a game where Brawl Gear doesn't do his thing and he doesn't just keep rolling and doesn't roll those sixes, keep will back, and the Tremors don't do anything, you're feeling a little rough. As rough as you can be with an 18-man 5/5 pipe block that moves at 15 inches a turn or whatever. Maybe, I guess the other option is knowing the scenarios and knowing how important speed is. Could a captain have been a choice over a Dragon Knight or a Brawl Gear?
I genuinely was wondering that. Yeah, they've never seen Eastland Captain.
I like a captain list. I think just if you're going for this drum, why not double down and go with ridiculous movement speed?
The pace would be critical in all these scenarios. Absolutely right. Yeah.
I do like the 3 cav though, between the drum and the 2 cav of rats. It's going to help a lot in some of these scenarios.
Yep.
It's a good bit of pace. Interesting one. Interesting one. Well, there you go. There was still something to talk about. How fast is it with march and drum? What is it? It's +3 for each, isn't it? So is it
15 inches.
12-inch move?
No, 12.
Yeah, it's 3 for the drum and 3 for the march. So 12.
Cav, you just sort of pick up and put wherever on the board. You don't even need to measure it.
Yeah.
Once the drum and march, you're allowed to just pick it up and place it. It's part of the Dragon Emperor's special rules.
All right, let's go to the next one before George gets genuinely angry about this. Okay. Here we go. This is okay. This is well. All right. I need a moment. Okay, this is so great. The Grand Army of the South. We have the Mumak War Leader with 3 Haradrim with bows. First time chatter just to say what the fuck to this, and I think that's justifiable. Mumak War Leader with 3 Harad bows and a Serpent Rider, not in the Howdah, I assume, the Serpent Rider. Then a Mahud King with a blowpipe with a camel, shield, and spear, Serpent Rider, and a Mahud King, blowpipe, camel, shield, spear, and Serpent Rider.
How can you not love this list?
The Grand Army of the South.
This list is, looked at the scenarios, is just like, I have got a 100% all-in way to win this big or lose this big. And this is glorious. I love this list so much.
I'm already scared for that first Maelstrom roll versus this. Like 2 Maelstrom games, you just like, there's a 50-50 where I'm just dead first.
Christ, this is gross.
It's amazing. When I was writing this one up, I'm just like, oh my god, I love it. It's just so glorious. What are you doing? I'm moving forward. Okay. The Serpent Rider's there for, they might play some scenario stuff. Everything else is just moving forward and running into you. And eggs, basket, brilliant.
They are certainly in that basket. We can all agree. Whether you like the basket or not, the eggs are in it. All the eggs. There are no eggs outside the basket. We've got a question. Why swap out the Serpent Riders for Mahud Raiders? I imagine it's because they are about 8 points less and fight 4. Seems to me like the reason you got the Serpents rather than the Camels. So I think it's probably when you're down at 10 models, I think it's good to have every man, woman, and child you can squeeze in.
That was their issue with the list, not the fact that it's 10 models, and you couldn't just say, why not swap out the Mahud King for a full another warband, but the fact they've gone Serpents up.
You have to be at least half Herod, don't you? But I don't think you have to be. Is that what it is? So you probably could have gone. You probably couldn't have gone all camels. You probably could have snuck 1 or 2 more in with those Haradrim warriors, maybe. I think it's at least.
Not everyone also has camel models. They're
That's
pretty
true as well.
But
I do feel like
mind you, in saying that, no one who is Serpent Riders.
I mean, again, in Bizarro, we'll be talking about this list. I think the Serpent Riders are. I can't believe we're having this conversation. I think the Serpent Riders are the better pick over the camels, though, for the cheap and the fight 4. I can't believe we're having this conversation. Genuinely can't believe it. Yep, 50%. There we go. That'll do it.
Yep, there we go. Thank you in the chat.
What do you say?
I don't want to face this.
What do you say?
I'm not going to lie. I don't want to face this.
This is the event for it with double Maelstrom Trambles. That's the thing. Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
I don't want to face this. No one's face
absolutely.
this. Someone's game is going to be over. Day 2, someone's game is going to be over in less than 10 minutes. And I hope it's not.
I hope the Black Riders versus day 2 and wins priority turn 1. I would get a lot of enjoyment out of watching a movement trample over 9 Black Riders.
Move 10 inches as well, you know. Needs to be infantry. Oh, I'd love to play this. No, I'm sorry. I keep looking at all these lists. What would I do if I was a Black Riders player? I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stop. I'm going to do that to people I hate, like Denny.
Yep.
Next list. Lurtz's Scoots. Just a great list. Although last time I came south, I had a really unpleasant experience with Lurtz's Scouts. So I don't read this one. Someone else take Lurtz's Scouts for me.
Forgot about that.
George,
these guys are having their own private jokes, so I'll read some people and some numbers out. So Lurtz's Scouts. So we're kicking off with Lurtz. He's got 8 Marauders with shield, 5 Marauders with Urukai bow, 1 Marauder with a banner and a shield, and good old Urukai drummer. Mahur with 5 Marauders with shield and 2 Marauders with a bow. Ugluk with 5 Marauders with shield, 2 Ugluks with a bow, 2 Uruks with a bow, and the Uruk-hai Scout Captain with a shield, with 5 Marauders with a shield and 2 Marauders with a bow. So coming in 40 models, 10 might, 12 bows, and so much speed. This is someone who has read the scenarios and said, I have places to be, and this is a goddamn fast way to get there with 40 models.
Makes the
This person
Eastlands
clearly
appear
got
slow. That's for sure.
the Fast and Furious memo. Also, while we're on the Fast and Furious topic, Jamie, and you are running Bulg, I hope you make nothing but Tokyo Drift jokes the entire time while you were swiveling that base.
That's nice. That's good chat.
Noted. Yep.
So I have 2 questions about this. One of them, Sarum and Sam has already asked in the chat. It links into the other one I've got, which is interesting to see. I think this is the conversation we're having. Chat's already ahead of me here. So when I think about this list of 650, I think Lurtz, Malhur, Ugluk. I don't necessarily think the captain. I think maxing their warbands out, and I think the second banner. This person has gone for, instead of that second banner, they've gone for 2 or 3 more models, and the scout captain there instead. What do we think, peeps? What do we think about that?
I think this person's
Not
ahead
even
of
2
the
or 3
game,
models.
and this is the
Fewer
right way to
models,
do it.
really, if anything.
I think 2 things. I think one banner is good because you only actually care about getting the banner on your heroes here. You don't need your banner on your troops. Number 2, I think there's actually no banner VPs, so you lose value on the second banner. That as well. And number 3, getting the march on the captain with the dispensable mites, really useful.
Who else has March?
Yep. And
sorry, Damon, go on.
I think they all
absolutely,
have March.
I think that the thinking was very much along the lines of what's more valuable here, more might, and might is always useful for a banner which is situationally useful. Might
I think it's
would have been my call on this.
very, very few lists benefit from a second banner.
I agree with that,
And
but
I
I think
don't.
that Scouts is one of them. If there is a
I think
list that benefits
Scouts,
from it,
there's an
Scouts is the
argument
list.
for them, maybe, if there's banner VPs. If there's no banner VPs, I think it makes it a pretty easy decision, personally.
See, I'm not sure I'm behind this. I mean, I feel like you could have, 3, 4 more models and that banner instead of that Scout Captain? And to
The
my
Scout
mind,
Captain's a great profiler. It packs a punch, it cuts through troops, it helps
you've
with
already
the
got
killing power.
equivalent of 3 more Scout Captains anyway. Like Malhur can't strike. He's your March battery. His might's not good for anything else. I don't know, 2 more might. I'm not sure I'm convinced, honestly.
Okay, so if we think about this in the context of what we've already seen, so let's put Black Riders aside. Everything else that we've seen so far only has 3 warbands. This already has a 4th character.
Corsairs.
It's a 4th
Corsairs and Angmar as well.
positional might.
The positioning is
The
true.
Corsairs
That's
have
true.
4? I thought the Corsairs only had 3. It was
maybe Corsairs do.
Delamar, Bosun,
Oh, you might be
and
right. Angmar had 4 with
Well
that
then.
ridge drop. Don't forget the ridge drop. The ridge Gillivar with no warbands. So
I did forget the ridge drop.
there you go.
Yes.
How can you forget the ridge drop?
Yep.
That's what all it's good for.
Yep.
I think your point about the 4 wins. The 4 wins is useful. I don't hate it at all. I just think it's an interesting thing because I've seen it done the other way, and I really like the other way. But I don't hate this either.
I
Just don't think I like it quite as much.
don't know if there's any changes I would make to this list outside of maxing it for a little bit. I think outside of that, your heroes are all correct. Maybe, and this is very nitpicky and only for one scenario, but I think people don't put enough value into how they design their warbands for Divide and Conquer. Knowing that there's a scenario in there where your warbands are guaranteed split over 2 sides of the board. Really stacking certain sides of the march and stuff.
Second banner.
But do you need a second banner if you've got 2 heroes on both sides of the board?
Do you mean you'd want to see a couple of things taken out of Lurtz's warband and spread across? You mean? Because there is definitely it's definitely a heavier half, and the other half's going to be the Lurtz. Sorry, the Urukai, the Captain Ugluk side is going to feel pretty
But also, there's very few lists which are going to be able to capitalize on the fact that it's a split. It's going to regroup
That's true.
before you know.
That's true as well.
Or honestly, it's not even a list that needs to regroup by any means. It might just encircle you or do its thing. But I think
11 inches that
getting
way,
max
14 inches that
bows,
way. It's pretty gonna get you
yeah,
there.
getting max bows is probably the only thing I think I would change this list. Otherwise, I think it's a pretty
Well,
perfect
you're only one bow
list and
short
the
of
tournament
max,
for it.
to be fair. So I mean,
Yeah.
I agree with do it, but it's also not, like we haven't. It's not going to change the world. That one bow.
I guess my point is that's how minor the changes I would make to this.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that's the way we need to.
The other thing is having Lurtz's warband stacked. You know where Lurtz is showing up in Maelstrom. He gets to choose exactly where he shows up. So if you need to show up with an overwhelming force at a particular point, you can do
That's
that.
true.
It
That's
is
true.
completely within
Bring him in
your
last.
hands.
Pick where he goes. That's a really good point, actually.
Yep.
That's a really good point, actually. I'm seeing people chat. I mean, I'm seeing known trolls in the chat talk about second drummers. I'm simply not engaging with that content. Also, I think the point about the second drummer, the separating the drummer is, yeah, you would just, it's a dead man walking on Maelstrom. So, can't be
It's a
that
very
crazy.
good list for the scenarios.
That's
Very,
awesome.
very good
That's a
list
really
for
good
the
list.
scenarios.
That's really cool. We're just not even
Yeah.
nitpicking, just asking questions about nits, really. All right, speaking of great lists, here we go. This is a great list. This is a Mordor and Serpent Horde alliance, the classic ultra tryhard loser list. We've got the Witch King of Angmar. He's got his crown. He's got a horse. He's got 3 might. He's got this. You should do it. 5 will, yeah, a bare minimum, and 3 fate. This guy is not going down anytime soon. He's not going to stop doing things anytime soon. He is going to be dropping them every turn, people. He's leading 7 Black Humanoians, 7 Rannans with shield and spear, and 4 trackers. And then we've got the Mouth of Sauron on a horse, leading 5 Black Numenoreans, 4 Morannons with shield and spear, 5 with shield and spear, 1 regular Morannon, and an Orc Tracker. And then Suladan on a horse, leading
Great
2
Twitch chat going.
Serpent Riders. Yeah,
Hey Sam, there's a request in the chat for you to speak with an English accent, mate.
That's abuse. That's abuse right there. That's really two of them. Holy shit! Oh god, I've been taken down.
GPHL 100.
My net decking is being called out. I just went online and was like, what is best Lotra deck? And ChatGPT gave me this, and that was it. And it's that good, people. That's it. It's done. I was just, fuck it. It's all over. This is me, in case you hadn't noticed. This is what I decided. George was like, Sam, can't take Black Riders, it's too toxic. So I thought, right, okay, I'll do something chill. And I brought this instead. A non-toxic, safe, edible, kitchen grade list like this. What do you think?
I actually really like this list, but that's selfishly, I'm really hoping I verse this list because as I'm traveling to GBHL 100 in a few months, I would love to get a practice game against this list. But I also think it's actually a very good Sam list. It's got a sprinkling of magic and it's got a grindy shieldable, which I know you like. It's obviously a very strong list. There's a reason it takes out GBL 100s all the bloody time. I think you're ludicrous taking how much will, and I also think you've got one too much bait. But we've had this discussion.
As opposed to what? Like 2 more trackers? Big fucking what?
Yes, exactly.
No.
All the scenarios require model count. Getting 40 models would be huge. It gets your mortal bonus up more frequently.
I'm going to use the will. I tell you what's going to get 2 or 3 black darts before the game even starts. That's going to get my mortal bonus up pretty frequently.
If you're black darting while you're not on the board and the game hasn't started, actually, if anyone's just black darting in real life, it's probably.
How do you think I won finals? Yeah, look, it does what it says on the tin. It's got a couple of casters. It's got 3 heroes that can charge at you and kill you on their horsey. It's got Terra D6, 5/4 front line. It's got the
You have a problem.
Like, I do have a problem, and no
Just
chill.
going straight to the throat.
Lotta. It's a known troll. I wouldn't worry about that comment. I don't really take that one seriously. He loves me, really.
I've seen, why are they perfectly fine with Dragonet prep? But second we see Mortal Silly, it's... I think... anyway, I think the thing which I think was so underrated about this list, and it doesn't look scary. I think people underestimate there's 3 5 mounted heroes that can chop through. And
they will.
It's no different from like a Faramir, Imrahil, Huron type thing. They can just, it doesn't have lances, but the fact that it's still 3 5 big, heavy hitting combat units.
Yeah.
those heroes do work as well. And I think like the other talking about is some people play like Gorbag over Mouth Sauron. I really like Mouth. I think the second cast really useful. I think even better is the Fight 5 other
Second
cab
cast,
mounted
the
unit
5/5 cab mounted hero, absolutely right. He's got Terra, he's got the armored horse, he's got a bit of march. You know, he can do things. He can do a lot of things. He ticks a lot of boxes.
with and as the person in the chat just suggested, like although this list is the top list and it's very heavily deemed like the strongest list out there, it's really fun to play against. It's an
Yeah,
interactive game. It's
stuff's
fun to
happening.
play with.
Stuff's
It's fun to
happening
play
all the
against.
time. Yeah,
It's not aggressive in any way. It's not like it's actually just a really good game. Every time I see this list, I'm like, actually, this is going to be a good game. You know, there's going to be a game that is actually going to be a fight.
yeah. I'm really
I
looking forward to
think
playing it.
the what leads this to being a good game is um, it is to use your words, Sam, does what it says on the tin. Like this goes down in front of you and you know what it is. There's not a whole bunch of special rule tricks up their sleeve. It is cool as presented. Here's a bunch of terror. Here's my magic casters. Here's my banner. Things are mobile. We're
Yeah,
topping out at fight 5, so we can do some stuff, but you know what is arrayed against you. So it's about outplaying your opponent
yeah.
and trying to
It's a
get around them.
it's just really well balanced, isn't it? I feel like it does a lot of different things, and it does them all well. But it doesn't do. It's not like a Dragon Emperor. Here's a huge fight bonus and a huge banner. But no, nothing of this. It balances well. It does a bit of everything. So stuff that does better than it in one area can do better than it in that area, but you'll try and do well in other areas. It's just
And
everyone's
I
going to come
think
up against it with something that does slightly better than I will. But
the reason it's so strong is it just takes like one of the best units in every single role. Like Witch King, arguably the best hero in the game. Shillidan, if not the best hero in the game, probably second best hero in the game, at least for the evil side. But Umarin's arguably one of the best infantry units in the game. All trackers, I think, are incredible units that don't get
very
used
good for the
enough.
price. Yeah,
Cheap and cheerful unit. Out the Sauron, bringing a march. Just like everything just does
everything is
what your
really good.
opponent's
Yeah,
equivalent does, but
equivalents.
slightly better.
Yep.
Like it just wins in ever slight
They're all
margins
really good
across the
value.
board,
It's
and
like
that's
the
what
best
makes it
value
so.
units in
Yeah,
the game. The value is
yeah.
excellent. Like the Orc Tracker, the shooting on that, the fact it only costs 5, super. Like the value on all these, everything on this list is a point cheaper than it should be, and the heroes are 5 points less
Those
cheaper
all
than they should be.
trackers don't care about shooting. All they want to do is just shoot in some hero combat. Maybe get a
That's something.
horse. Maybe
Yeah,
get a wound on
yeah.
stopping a heroic combat. That's all they care about. They're sitting behind your lines.
Excellent cheap honesty bows and cheap bodies. Just everything in here is just 1.2 cheap. That's how this list feels.
It's just about 2 models short, but yeah.
I want that will. I will use that will. I'm coming from Black Riders where I don't have to pay the will in fights. And believe me, every time I fight, I get into it, I go, shit, I gotta pay for this will. It freaks me out. It actually genuinely freaks me out. That's purely what it's for. It's safety blanket for me because I hate it. It is like I think a 700 point list, 650 event. It is. Speaking of which, actually, before we move on from this, I just want to say that it is 4 or 5 days to go, and I still don't have 2 Serpent Riders available to me. So if anyone out there in Twitchland has 2 Serpent Riders they want to either bring to the event or give to me before the event that I can take to Dunedin, hit me up at
It's
Sam.
it's clearly the event of Serpent Riders because you were the fourth person to ask me.
I thought I'll just get
There's
George's.
3 other
George's
people
got
before
heaps.
you to
It'll be
message me.
fine. But
I
no.
will say for this event, I have had 3 people reach out to me asking for specific models. which
I was asked to lend someone Black Humidorians. I said, yeah, sure, no problem. And then I wrote this list, submitted this list, and they came back to me. Like, we're still good for that? Like, shit, I've actually written all mine into my list. So I've had to go to someone else on their behalf and ask and track them back. It's just, there's a lot of that happening. So, Power Gamers. Thank you, Dread White, for your noting that you have Serpent Riders. You were actually top of my list of people to ask if I got truly desperate. I'm trying to avoid asking from someone and traveling with their lovely models. But
Do we know who Dread White is?
I know who Dread White is, and Dread White is is very much on my list of people to ask. So Dread White might hear from me in a day or 2.
Yeah, I've had Dread White.
Right, next one. Let's move on from talking about ourselves. Oh, George, you're going to have a conniption when you see this. You are going to freak out. George is going to be so angry. We've got here another mortal list. It's a Witch King with a
not a
crown,
problem being angry.
an armored horse. George is faced head in his hands. A Morgul blade. George screaming. Might 3. Will 6. George falling off his chair. Fate 3. George is dead. That is George is like, I could save 50 points, 60 points, 70 points off that Witch King.
I don't think you could get the more incorrect Witch King if you tried, in my opinion.
Noted Witch King expert George G. Costello. Anyway, this quote incorrect unquote Witch King is leading 4 Numenorians, 5 Marinen with spears, 1 with shield, a Morgul Knight, love it, very good, and a single tracker. And then we've got Goroth, captain of the Marinen, leading 3 Black Numbs, 4 Marinen shields. 3 Marinen shields and 4 spears, 1 Marinen shield spear banner, and another tracker. And then Guritz leading 2 Black Numbs, 3 Marinans with shield, 3 with shield and spear, 2 Orc trackers, 1 Warg Rider throwing spears and shield. 38 models, same as me.
I reckon I can get you 40 points off that Witch King comfortably.
Morgul Blade, regular horse, and then you'll drop what, 5, like a Fate, and then 4 Will. Is that what I'm thinking?
Armored horse down to a horse.
Yeah.
Is what, 5?
Yeah.
Morgul Blades 10.
Yeah.
15. 4 Will 35 and a Fate 40.
There you go. Yeah, put you on. That's on you. So I think too much well off, but otherwise I don't have a huge problem with the rest of it. This person has taken. I mean, we just talked about this list really just previously. So there's not a whole lot to say about the overall structure of it. This person has taken honesty bows to the next level, to the nth degree. These are the most honesty bows I've ever seen. The single orc tracker in 2 of the 3 warbands, and then 2 orc trackers in the last one. That is honesty bows right there. That is just enough to make your opponent feel, I guess I have to walk behind cover.
I do really like the Guritz pick, knowing his double maelstrom.
Guritz is phenomenal.
Really good pick today too. Phenomenally pick.
Excellent pick. Yeah, really good. I really like the Morgul Knight drop. I think they're a really cool unit. I would have loved to have stuck a couple in mine. I think they're really, really good. Or Maggots for Goroth. That's a good shout, actually. They might be Maggots for Goroth as well. Although you put them in as warband if they were Maggots for Goroth, so maybe they're a mix of both. I mean, what's to say? It's Black Numbs with Marinans behind them, sure thing. There's a fewer Black Numbs and a few more Marinans in front. And there's also Goroth, which is, I think, an interesting pick. What's his deal? Was he good?
He's quite. He's the defensive one, right? He can make other people take more.
He's like a better fighter. So is he like a fight 5, strength 5, like a Burley or something? I'm sure he's like one of the better ones. Like in terms of he hits pretty hard. I'm sure he's one of the better fighters. Like a mini.
I think, if you guys haven't found out, I'd just like to try to find issues with every list, and clearly I'm a very pessimistic person.
Burley 2-handed.
Yeah, so he hits pretty hard.
I maybe would have liked to have seen a 4th hero, just again purely for divide and conquer, because presumably it's the Goroth unit, which is going to get heavily isolated in divide and conquer. The Witch King Gear is the one that's going to team up so they can march to the middle as soon as possible.
Very true. Yeah.
And
that's
then,
not a warband that can survive on its own. That Goroth one.
Yeah. The benefit of the list we saw previously is you actually have Mouth and Saloon both having march, so you can have a march on both corners, which is very useful. With 38 models, but like mostly entirely strength 4, minus a few Black Numbs and whatnot, it's going to pack a punch. A good wee model.
That's super hard for sure. But it does a lot of what the previous one does. It just changes some of the stuff around.
It's just a slightly different shuffle on it. Banner in Goroth's warband is where that one is located.
Was you with the banner?
What's that?
It's obviously very useful with the heroes, but is there a world where you don't even bother with the banner?
No, you bring a banner. I think you always bring a banner. There's no word in which I'll bring a banner at 650. I'm sorry.
I don't hate it, but
I think looking at this one next to the previous one, you can see how big that Witch King is, just because I'm looking at this being like, where's the same number of models, where's the Siladan type thing, where's the mouth type thing. Those 2 bigger and better heroes, same number of cav. It's just that big Witch King he's big chunky Witch King has taken out a wee bit of juice from the rest of the warbands, I think.
I mean, also there's obviously upside to having a big chunky Witch King as well.
Oh, of course there is. Totally there is. But there's more pressure on him now to make things happen.
Like, I know I keep circling back to this, but if you took 40 points off the Witch King and took 25 points off the banner, that's an extra 65 points for another 4th hero pretty easily.
It's 10% of your list right there saved. I don't think the banner is great. I don't agree with the banner, but I think you could save money on the Witch King for sure.
I do like the hero choices though. Goropango is a great pick for this tournament.
Yeah, Gareth is always a good drop.
I actually like everything else besides Witch King as well. That's a good list.
All right. Ahead to the Minds of Memoria. Right. Damien, haven't heard enough of your beautiful voice.
Okay, Moria. We are starting off with Groblog. We have 3 Moria goblins with shield, 4 with a spear, 1 with a bow and a spear, 1 Warg Marauder,
Marauder.
Warg Marauder,
So he model
2
Toyota.
Prowlers, 1 Bat Swarm. Next warband is a Shaman. We've got 2 warriors with shield, 1 with spear, and 1 just showing up. We have the Watcher in the water. We have a Moria Goblin Captain with a shield, and that one has 4 goblins with shield, 4 goblins with spear, 1 with a bow and a spear, 1 Warg Marauder, and another Prowler. And then we have another Warbrand headed up with a Captain with a shield, 4 warriors with shield, 4 warriors with spear, 1 warrior with a bow and a spear, and 1 Moria Goblin Prowler. Coming in at 42 models, 9 might, 5 bows, 4 throwing weapons. Watcher in the water is a good pick. Watcher in the
very
water
good
is a
pick.
good pick
Always a
for
good
the
pick.
scenarios that are on play. Like it's a decent
It's a good
model
pick.
for what
Full
it does
stop.
anyway.
Full stop.
But when you consider the 5 scenarios that are in play, awesome choice. You can get where you need to be. You can disrupt all of the heroes that are trying to be a pain to you. And this list is moving. There's marauders in there. There's bat swarms in there. It's got a bunch of might spread across the place. It's a horde of goblins with a watcher. Does what it does.
I think the like change up from these are like a regular tournament with, I'm not gonna say regular scenarios, but like rolled scenarios. You obviously see a sort of lot of assault and Lothar when you look at the Moria sort of area. I actually like the switch up to go to Watcher Moria instead of assault and Lothar, just because that list struggles so much in Maelstrom. And one thing that Watcher in the Water is very good is in Maelstrom. Scenario. But yeah, like someone said, 42 models and Watcher is pretty impressive.
A lot of stuff,
The models are obviously phenomenal units. The one is there a world where we want to see a second bat swarm just because you're pretty all in on this Watcher combo going off, and
I think I
is
would
it
have rather seen
compelled
a
for that
second
bat
bat
swarm
swarm
or
and a
something?
marauder. Yeah, I think that's very true. Second, 2 bat swarms, 1 marauder is how I would have gone probably for that
We've
exact reason.
seen 3 Witch Kings already with Magic, right? Is
Very,
that the only
very
Magic so
important
far?
piece of kit. I think so. Yeah.
We've got the
Just
chat
Witch Kings?
saying that would have liked a Durbers for the stand fast. It's easy to break Moria. I guess the thing here is that at 42 models, it's not hugely bigger than a lot of the other armies that we've seen.
No.
Yeah, your centerpiece here is Watcher rather than a Balrog.
Watcher's got to do it all.
Watcher
can
is
do a
your
lot.
big threat.
As the owner of this
and
list, I submitted Durbers. Okay. Maybe there's your answer then, in that case.
So
Maybe this just
there's,
isn't their list, and there's a second Watcher list though.
Otherwise, I
there's
need to.
there's no drum here for courage. So
That's
we
true as
talked
well,
about
actually, yeah.
Wise susceptibility to Terra. This one here is you got some numbers going on for you, but potentially facing the same issue. We've just come off the back of 2 Mordor lists with our lovely Black Numenorian spear line backed up with Harbinger. So you're gonna be playing a little bit on the defensive. We got a note there,
Yeah, the
Fury Shaman
Yeah.
Terra,
Yeah.
which is
Entirely
all
true.
good,
Entirely
provided
true.
that
Entirely true.
It's doing pretty well so far in the fact that there isn't a huge amount of shooting that we've seen so far. There's
No, that's
been
true as well.
disordered
Well,
lists.
Corsairs.
Sorry, the Delmere, the
But other than
Corsair
that,
list.
yeah.
But we haven't seen a single elf list. We've seen a single good list.
It's the good ones. It's evil first and good after, just the way it's
Oh, okay. I was about to say that.
yeah. There is some, not that much, but some good coming anyway. I think it's true. I think this person is right in what they're saying. Basically, is that, and I mean we are too. Like obviously, it'd be great to have, the drum. It'd be great to have the second bat. It'd be great to have my thinking is a shadow shaman or something. It'd be great to have A, B, C, D, but it's 650 points. You've got a watcher in there. You simply can't have everything. And to me, what's in here is pretty much what you'd want to have. It's got all of the essential things, not all the nice to haves, but you can't have all the nice to haves. You just can't do it. So you get what you can get.
Yep.
Obviously, it's all set up to do watch combo as well with the bat form.
Watch your combo.
So it's going to inskill whatever unit. Like maybe that's just your solution to
Prowlers.
Witch King is
Of course it
that's
is.
the model you pull
It's
in. But
random. Yeah. Of course it
also,
is.
I can't imagine the Witch Kings are sitting on the front line.
Not against this, but you don't have to be fair,
It's a,
against
it's
the
a
Watcher, do you? Just have to be sitting near the
it's
front
a
line.
it's a very disruptive model for the Watcher combo is having the compel land on that bat form though.
Yeah, the Bat Swarm is going to be, and that's why I guess the second one I haven't seen any magic. The amount of Witch Kings we got now, the second one probably seems quite useful in that
But
context.
also, if we're talking
That's what it is.
Fast and Furious speed scenarios, what better unit than Wild is incredible,
Very
incredible
true.
thing. Particularly in recon, like what a unit for recon.
Dismount them at the last move off the board. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very nice. I can't fold it. I think it's really good. I think it's really cool. I don't want to face it. Every time I see a watcher on the list at a tournament, I'm like, geez, please don't give me that matchup. I just don't want to have to. I just don't have to go there. I don't have to go there. I just don't want to have to go there at all. So fingers crossed. I've never faced a watcher in my entire career, and I would like that to keep going for as long as humanly possible. If you're
Yeah,
playing
cool.
Black Brothers into this, good luck. The watcher is someone you're going to struggle to kill with darts before he's killed you. Here we go. Wait, hold on. Is two? There's two
This is
fucking
another
watchers?
warrior list with a watcher. So,
What?
Does either of them
second
have burgers?
verse, similar as the first. Roblog, we've got 3 goblins there with a bow and a spear, 3 goblins with a shield, 1 marauder, 3
Jesus.
prowlers, and a bat swarm. We have a warrior goblin captain with a bow, 2 goblin warriors with a bow and a spear, 3 goblin warriors with a shield, and 2 prowlers.
Fuck's
We have the
sake.
watcher in the water. We have a shaman with 2 goblins with bow and spear, 2 goblins with shield, and 2 prowlers. And we have Ashrak with a goblin with a bow and spear, 2 prowlers, and 2 giant spiders upgraded to Venomax. This one coming in significantly fewer models, 34 models here, 8 might, 10 bows, but 9 throwing weapons here.
We thought 40 something models was low, 34 is incredibly low.
That's very low. That's too low.
But also has a whole bunch more tricks than the prowlers and the Venomax and the Ashrak.
It's got the Ashrak and the Venomax as the extra things, yeah, but you lose the the numbers, I guess, don't you? The second captain.
Still just one bat swarm.
Yeah, I know. Interesting, eh?
What's
I mean, at
good
34
is,
models,
hey,
you only hit one bat swarm. You have to.
yeah, sure.
What about 10 more orcs before you buy a second bat swarm? 2
I like the
watches.
addition of the
I'm not getting
spiders
away.
here.
I'm not getting out of Dunedin without hitting a second. I think one of these.
The,
There's
the
no way.
spiders add a lot to a otherwise incredibly slow list. And as we highlighted, speed's pretty important. Some of things,
Yeah,
so
that's true.
that will be
That's true.
very
That'll be
useful.
Cool.
I mean, also just having a second sort of gimmick, if you will, with Ashrak and spiders and bat swarms on top of the Watcher gimmick.
Tricks on top of tricks on
there's
top of tricks.
a lot
on this
to
one.
yeah.
Yeah, the watcher combo with that is actually that's feral. There's a lot. There's so many things.
There's
to
a
watch
lot
out
for your opponent to be
It
thinking
starts-
about. Being like,
Yeah, it starts feeling like
just messes
Assault
with your
on
head.
Lothlorien at this point. It's got that level of like there is just so much stuff to think about. Where is that? 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 It's the exact same energy. Exact same energy.
Yep. There's twice the amount of bows that the last list had as well.
Yeah,
so while we are down
you're
on
worried about the goblin
numbers,
bows.
we can play a bit at Rayhead. You say that until all your horses get shot out from underneath you. And that one that doesn't get shot out from underneath you, the watcher just deals with that anyway. So
Bow on the
play
captain as well.
That's
Yep,
true.
bow on
That's
the
true.
captain. That
Spicy.
cheeky little miteable bow.
The miteable orc bow on a goblin captain. Let's not, let's not overhype this. Here's the guy who's
Hey, the
giving all his
person
horse
whose
to it
list
now.
this is, use your might effectively with that bow come next weekend and make Sam eat his words.
That's true. But also,
whilst you destroy him with the Watcher.
if you're using that might on your orc bow, where it's not going in any number of other places, it's also needed. Someone in chat reckons this is the more interesting list than the previous one. I think it's probably true, but I think I like the previous one is better. I think is what I would say. I think the previous one is better, but this is definitely more interesting. Is that fair to say? I think I'd rather have those 8 extra models personally. This is
But
Yeah,
considering
I think
is a
we
light
were
thing.
talking about the previous list and the
Yeah.
breaking,
Yeah.
and this one here, more tricks, slightly easy to break.
A lot easier to break.
I think there's an element of the Watcher may kill a hero a turn, but in that time, your troops are just broken.
Collapsed. Yeah.
I do like that they've both got shamans because they identify that's definitely a risk. But just 134 models is enough for some of these scenarios.
So light. Yeah.
Despite how many gimmicks you got going on.
A lot of stuff. A lot of stuff.
Much more prowlers there. Much more prowlers. That's bad English. Prowlers only have two-handed weapons. Is that correct? They don't have regular hand weapons.
That's true as well. That's a good point,
Yep.
actually.
So that's
7
something
of
to
those.
be aware of there. So
Yep.
got a bunch of goblins fighting at
Fight
-1.
-1, no banner. Yeah. That's a
Yep.
pretty tough little morsel. Yeah, I mean, there is
Yep.
several ways to kill. Like you say, Julie, there are several ways to kill the heroes, but there are very few ways to kill the other stuff. Like if I look at it in terms of what I've got, I'm very worried about the Witch King. I'm very worried about the Mouth. I'm very worried about Siladan. I'm not worried about anything else in the army. I would send the rest. I would keep those things 15 inches back and send the rest forward quite happily, and still think I'd win that. You know, just on the sheer, just the grind of the rest of the fight is going to go pretty badly against this person, I think. So it's going to have to be a very, very high skill game of pick and kill. It's going to feel like playing Black Riders probably. You have to pick and kill, and then just try and avoid the actual fight for as long as possible.
Neat wee list though. It'll be fun. So last using it.
Super interesting. There's summon. It's Assault on Lothlorien without Legendary Legion. I think that's cool. All right, next up eat a fucking no. Fuck this. Is this a joke?
Hey,
is this a joke?
So there was a chat going on leading up to the lists.
Is this a joke? No, is this actually serious?
Ends. We were chatting away. Andrew and I were chatting away with someone else, and it's just like lists are coming in, no duplicates left. And after the lists had all been entered, I just replied to that comment and said, "This comment aged poorly."
What the fuck?
So
this
is our third Moria list with a Watcher. This one has Durbers. So we've got Durbers, 7 goblins with shield, 7 goblins with spear, 1 bat swarm, Moria goblin captain with a shield, 4 goblins with shield, 5 goblins with spear, 1 bat swarm, the Watcher in the water. Moria goblin captain with a shield, 3 goblin warriors with shield, 3 goblin warriors with spear, and a shaman who has got 5 Moria goblin prowlers and 1 Moria goblin warrior with a spear. Have you recovered enough to speak yet, Sam?
Exactly how I reacted. That is fucked.
I like that this one also took Durbers and took 2 bat swarms though.
I was going to say, this one has done all the things that we said the last 2 should have done. So hats off to this person who's just been listening to our previous 10 minutes of comment and gone,
somehow very quickly submitted.
So we got 42 models. We got 9 might. We've got no bows in there. They've gone sod bows. Don't need them. And we got 5 throwing spears in the list with those prowlers.
Bows are a strategic tool to bring your opponent to you. You don't need that because you've got Watcher and bats. You simply don't need the bows. I don't believe that. Yeah. The Watcher is the bow.
Watcher is a bow.
Yeah, that's the comment of the night, isn't it?
The Watcher is the siege weapon. The Watcher is the bow. The Watcher is the blinding light. The Watcher does the same thing. I don't want to talk about it for too long. Apart from that, I'm genuinely angry. I was genuinely looking forward to this weekend, and now I am going to have to read up on my anti-Watcher strats. Fuck me. This does all the things. This is, I think, my favorite out of the 3 of them. I think this one does. We've talked about it before. Second bat, tick. More models, tick. Durbers, tick. Got a few prowlers. I think first one maybe didn't have enough. This second one maybe had too many. This was like a good number to me. I'm happy as a
this one. I think this one is feeling pretty robust. The only thing that I think it doesn't have on its side is speed.
Yeah,
So
that's
the other
true.
ones
It's very slow.
had more
That's
marauders,
totally true.
and obviously we had the spiders in the middle one. However,
No bows, no speeds.
is
Tough.
this
Tough.
decently constructed enough that you're going to be able to draw enough threat and get your people where you need to go anyway? And I think this one kind of is.
It probably is. But I also think reality is these three are all, we're talking a lot about them because we're trying to make content, but reality is that these three are similar enough that it's purely going to come down to the person playing them. And so this is going to be three people going to the same event with almost the same list, and it's going to be who's the better player. I think
At some stage, there's going to be watcher showdown.
I cannot wait. You
And
people,
yeah,
you deserve this, you fuckers. You deserve this. The
Can we,
Watcher
can we,
we're all just going to
mirror match.
dice down and go and watch that game.
can we see a heroic shoot so one watcher tries pulls the other watcher in, like, first?
The Watcher on Watcher heroic shoot. What has happened? Yeah, can the
Yeah.
Watcher drown a Watcher? These are things that you TOs have to think about before the event. How does the
I'm-
Watcher
I'll
work?
tell you what, though.
I am.
On the flip side, you deal with it once, and you're all like, "Oh, okay, I think I know how to deal with it again." So, like, technically, your second and third encounters with a watcher are going to get progressively easier,
That's
right?
true. That's
Because you
true.
figured out how to
You
deal with it.
guys have all shafted. Every person coming to this event is going to be looking up anti-watcher strats. It's going to be you fucked yourselves
Every-
over by doing this. Before this, it
Every
was going to be
person-
everyone's looking up how do I play against Black Riders. Now it's going to be how to play against the Watcher.
Every person coming to this event is going to judge how much water train you put on these tables now, Damien.
None.
Every
Damien,
single piece of
none.
water
It
is
has
now
to
going to be
none.
considered.
It has to be none. And honestly,
Was that a full Lake Town board?
Yeah.
Is that what you asked
Yeah.
for?
Full lake downboards, full river boards everywhere.
can I just
Someone's
say,
camp is just exclusively water.
three watching it. Can I say last year when I was running riders, I did it more and more, and it became more and more of a thing. And I started worrying someone else might bring them, and my greatest fear was a mirror match where I bring riders and someone else does, and I get beaten. That was my nightmare scenario. Was I have been unmasked and unmanned as a loser in front of everyone. And the problem is now, if I'm going in with a watch list, before this I was thinking, yeah, I'm a big watcher guy. What are you gonna do? Now I'm like, geez, am I going to be the worst of the watcher guys? There's three watcher peeps. Am I going to be the one who gets two mirror matches and loses both times? If I'm a watcher person now, I am very nervous. I am shivering. I'm shaking.
I'm sure they're all just chatting to each other in a group chat that they clearly pre-arranged before this event.
No, this is going to be.
There's actually only one watcher. They're sharing it across all three games. Like, if it goes down in
Go
one
up
game,
and
it
grab
pops up in
someone.
another.
Pop up another.
Yeah.
That's quite cool.
Yep.
Right. I can't believe there's three watcher models also, can I just say, in the Greater Otago region. That's possibly the
I didn't even
strangest.
get asked my watcher.
I'm amazed there are three watchers in the South Island, let alone in the Greater Otago region. So that's hats off.
We got people travelling from all over the place, mate. It's not just necessarily South Island.
With watches, they should be a show
I think one's
themselves.
coming from Auckland.
We do have someone coming down from Auckland.
Several summits, probably.
We
Three.
far travelling people.
All right, I'm not talking about this anymore. I'm sick of this shit. Give me something fun like Pits of Dol Guldur with Azog. He says, looking at how we can get a refund for his tickets. All right, Pits of Dol Guldur with Azog on the White Warg, leading a Fell Warg. 1 Gundabad Banner Shield Spear, 5 Gundabad Shield Spears, and 6 Hunter Orcs. A Hunter Orc Captain leading 1 Fell Warg, 3 Gundabad Shield Spears, and 8 Hunter Orcs. And then an Hunter Orc Captain leading 1 Fell Warg, 3 Gundabad Shield Spears, and 8 more Hunter Orcs. For 40 models, 10 might, and 0 bows. Pits of Dol Guldur, what do you think?
I think I ran this exact 650 point Pisadol Goldo list at an earlier event this year. It worked really well. I really like it. I have very little feedback outside of maybe a couple of honest guys on some underrocks. Other than that, it's the exact same list I ran and I really liked it and I wouldn't have changed too much.
George Stalker? Are we going to get baby reindeer?
I like it as well.
I mean, it's a very self-building list.
It is. I was thinking of running something similar to this, and then I remembered that I have to assemble my Gundabad Orcs, and I instead just crawled up into a corner and cried because Finecast. However, this is cool. Like I've played Hunter Orcs a lot last year and started this year, and they go down. The ability to spear support is something that it's missing, and this list does that. You get the free heroic combat every turn from Azog. You've got the once per game get control of priority, and your opponent can't call heroic moves. Super useful just in general anyway. Double super useful in the scenarios that are on play. look, I would have probably given one of those Hunterhawk captains a two-handed pick, but that's just a me thing. I
I
think that this is good. I like it.
I think there's a world where I'd consider dropping the banner for a Warhorn though.
There is absolutely a world where I drop the banner for a Warhorn. We know my thoughts on Warhorns.
It's
Don't leave home without them.
close because Azog benefits hugely from having a banner near him, but naturally the way he ends up heroic combating is not always near the banner anyway.
Insane to me.
It's actually quite hard to keep him
Drop the banner for a
central.
Warhorn?
There's no banner. There's a lot of terror.
It's a huge force
Mate,
There's a
multiplier.
huge amount of
Schmeat
terror.
peas. It's a huge force multiplier. Banner is too good. You don't leave home without a banner. It's so
But
important.
but if there's any list where you're
Fight
going to
through
drop
banner.
the banner, this
Yeah.
here you've got Hunter Orc frontline, 2 attacks with a Gundabag backing it up. So
Rolling the
you've
high
got
dice is even more important in a low fight list than it is in a high fight list, though. I didn't know how many dice you got. You want that more of those dice if you got low fight.
What? No.
Yeah, so you want to get the 6. You
Banners are just
can't
exponentially
assemble
better
for
in
a
high
3 or
fight
a
lists.
4. You can't assemble for the 4 when you got fight 3. You know, you've got to roll another dice. You want to get the high dice. You need to get the 6 every time, so you can capitalize on your opponent not getting it.
But I mean, you could also just say, I'm going to get an extra model in by charging terror. But, I mean, like, I don't hate the banner, but obviously, banners are obviously always very good to take. I'm just saying there's a world where I consider taking a Warhorn instead of this banner, purely because I actually find it hard to get the banner near Azog, which is the main reason for it. It's beneficial dice for him. The 3 attack Orc, 100 Captain on foot also benefits hugely from the banner as well. So I don't hate it, but I just think there's a world where I'd consider Warhorn in this list at 650 was sort of the one I didn't take it at Auckland. And didn't run into too much terror up there. But there were a few games where I was like, actually, this would be very nice. There's 3 Fell Wags is really good. I think I've been considered bumping it up to maybe 4 or 5, just knowing the scenario of the recon and things like that. I really like the amount of Hunt Orc to Gunnerbait Orc distribution. I think it's probably about right. I think it's just missing a few bows, would be the only other thing I'd change. Other than that, it's a very, very good list. Like, really good for these scenarios. It packs a massive punch. The free hero combats, the free.
Three
good.
dice when they were on foot. That's probably the answer to that.
I don't think there's any value in mounting captains. I think Hunter Orc captain with a mount is a waste of points. They're just better on foot with the extra attack.
Those 3 dice.
They're so cheap at Pincheerful at 45 points.
Yeah. All right. Pits of Dol Guldur. Dear oh dear. 3 watches and Pits of Dol Guldur, and DE and Black Riders. This is you got a feral little event you're running there, Damien. A feral nasty little event. Here we go. Something
just
much
trying
more
to turn
relaxed.
this on me.
Something much more relaxed and normal. It's
Something
bird
much more
bath.
relaxed.
It's bird bath, just for some more chill vibes. We've got Galadriel with the bath, 10 Galathrim shield and spear, 1 with bow and spear, and 1 Galathrim knight with shield. A dwarf king with throwing axes, 10 dwarf warriors with shields, 1 dwarf warrior with shield and banner, and then the bird to go with the bath. For a total of 26 models, 8 might, 1 bow, 1 throwing weapon, and 1 bath for your 1 bird.
Very cool list.
Bird bath.
Does feel a little bit GBHO 100-y.
Yeah, see, doesn't feel good, does it?
Yep.
Curious.
My
I love the
here
Dwarf King. Such a great profile. Why 1 bow? I mean, I know traditionally we've seen no bows in Elven lists recently, but I thought that was a
Why no
watcher?
Yeah, that's a good question actually. Watch your bath. I agree with
Feels
no.
like it's
Why 1 bow?
if you've got Blinding Light, why do you not have 4 or 5 bows?
Yeah, exactly right. Hard agree.
Well, you can only take 4.
You could put more elves in if you needed to, though.
So my thoughts here on this list is a lot of the games require you to end up a little bit spread out. And that is my only how well do you do that? And actually claim a bunch of stuff.
Before that as well.
And look, I've got no problem with dwarves. Dwarves, you take your time to get into position, but once you're there, you're there. But there are a lot of scenarios that require you to be in multiple theirs. And true. So you need to go into this event having a plan for those scenarios, and maybe that plan isn't hold everything. Maybe that plan is hold a couple of things really, really well.
Yeah.
Overall solid list. Look, Birdbath is solid. I like Waihere. I like Eagles just in general. Actually, they're a real nice utility piece for good forces. You've got your speed, you've got your fight, you've got your monstrous actions if you need. Which,
There's
let's
a
face it,
lot of pressure on
does
them, isn't
not
there?
have a huge amount. But yeah, there is.
A lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, and your trick here is making sure that Guahia goes to the right place at the right time. You can strike off on your own and do something impactful. Also, you can strike off on your own and get yourself isolated and end up in a bad position.
Daddy two dice.
So,
Yeah, exactly. Birdbath's not going to save you from the trap of between all traps. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I think if I'm looking at my concern maybe is I know you need Galadriel for that mirror, obviously, but that Dwarf King has got to do it. I mean, a lot of pressure on Gwai. Also a lot of pressure on that King. He's got to be marching, and he's also your only actual sort of combat hero apart from Gwai. There's a lot. He's got to do 2 or 3 different things. He's got to be striking. He's got to be marching. He's got to be fighting in the front line. He's a lot of pressure on him. A furrowed brow.
I'm interested with the banner choice on Dwarf Warrior opposed to an elf. Feels
Yeah,
like
go for the
an
spear.
elf thing.
Feels like a thing to do, isn't it?
With a spear just in that fight, but I mean the Dwarf Warrior's obviously got the higher
High
defense,
defense.
so there's the reasoning there. But yeah, there's a lot of pressure on some key pieces to do work in this list.
Yeah.
With obviously Guahian needs to make sure he's getting those 6s in combat. It's not always guaranteed, but just to attack and figure out the charge.
Especially with, again, you mentioned the banner. The dwarf banner is moving slower as well. Like it's going to be that much harder to keep it up.
It's not going to be near Guahir at all. Yeah, for sure.
That's going to be really hard.
26 is the lowest we've seen, but obviously it's in a very elite
That's
army
true
with
about
blinding light.
Yeah, but again, the blinding light with only one bow doesn't. It's still got to walk towards people. Blinding light with 5 or 6 bows, people have to come to you. Blinding light with one bow, you still have to walk towards people, and you're doing it with dwarfs and Gwai here with a 7-inch difference.
I don't know why it's one, but I also am a little bit worried for it in. Oh no, actually, that's a lie. Guahir it's not more bit. I'd gone from worrying it to really like it. Divide and Conquer. That Galadriel and Dwarf can get to pair up, form up nicely, and then Guahir's the one on its own.
But then also,
Yep.
Gwai here on its own over there is not great vibes either necessarily.
Guahir on its
Again,
own.
unless you've been distracted by something shiny that you think you can go over and
true.
beat up.
Just accept you just have to go and join the squad at all costs, then that's true.
Absolutely. And if you just need to go through, I'm just going to walk forward and go like this. And if you get in my way, then
if you
it also,
way, I'm just going to go around you because I can't fight you because I have to get to the thing.
Just a really cool yellow list as well, right? I have an absolute love for good army yellow lists, and I think it's really cool. We've not actually seen a dwarf Galadriel list. Obviously, they're very popular overseas at the moment.
How about at finals?
There's a world.
How about at Fog just recently as well, wasn't it? Yesterday, the other day. We have them, I think.
There's a world where Dwarf King becomes sort of something from Air War acclaimed as well, and that list being very popular at the moment.
Yeah, true. The other dwarfs. I think it's true that I just talk about the death ball. Designed to operate as a death ball with Guai's own movable piece. That's true, but there's not a lot of death in the death ball either, apart from Guai here. Like it's not a death ball so much as it is a rock. It doesn't move that fast. It doesn't kill things that fast. It's not dying anytime soon, obviously. Guai here's got to do basically all the work. Like just almost all the killing has to be done by Guai here. He is going to outkill the rest of your army in any successful game, I think, isn't he? But he also can't do that.
I mean, I wonder if the logic behind the no shooting is the scenarios are so movement based that I don't either actually want to be sitting still and shooting. Like,
yeah, it's true.
In any of these scenarios, I can't afford to be sitting back. I need to be constantly moving, and what's the point in bothering with the both? So, I mean, maybe they're not of that, and I kind of get it.
But you're right. Like you're using in recon or storm the camp, you want 4 or 5 things hanging back anyway. Why not make them useful?
This list also feels like it's a list that can't afford to have 4 or 5 of us hanging back.
That's true. But then you've just got your side of the board undefended, which is also a tough one.
Yeah, that was almost keep up.
That's true. I also have a big question about the throwing axes on this Dwarf King as well. I mean, I guess where else were you going to spend the points? Maybe it's just that, but
putting
That is,
bows on the spears.
yeah, it's true actually. Yeah, it's genuinely is, isn't it? Yeah, take the taxes off and go for the bows. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. That's
I suppose you'd
solves
be
your problem
dropping the
right there.
shield anyway. I
Solves
mean,
your
your
problem
Glader
right there.
Warriors don't necessarily need shields, but
Are behind the dwarves. Yeah, I think that's would be true actually. Drop the taxes. Just drop those throwing axes and we have to bow them on the Glathrum. I think we'd feel a lot better about it, wouldn't we? That's my.
I think it's
and then
got more
switch the banner
utility
to an
that
elf.
way. Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. All right.
But other than that, very cool listen. I really like it.
The
It's
concept
nice
is
to see
always cool.
something
The
a bit
concept is
different.
always spicy. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Rightio. Here we go, folks. The fiefdoms. Imrahil with
Waiting
his
for it.
stuff. Good stuff. 2 Coda with armored horse and lance. 10 men at arms. 4 long the plump with 6 axemen, 7 more men at arms. Woo! And then 1 more Coda. And then Duin here with 8 Blackroot Vale archers. 38 models, peeps. That is 17 men at arms. That is an immensity of men at arms. That is a ludicrous immensity of men at arms. That 17. Whew.
It's a very good listen. I think a lot of people coming to this event all had that thought of fiefdoms. The second I see an event that has no banner VPs, my head goes straight to Imrahil.
Mm-hmm.
Like this, what an army of fiefdoms comes when you don't have to worry about banner VPs.
Yeah.
And getting 38 models, fight for decent shooting, 2 good heroes, a couple of mounted units. Like, is it 3 knights?
3 knights, yeah.
Usually, I'd say that's way too much, but it's not really that. No, it's not too much when the scenarios are all speed. Those Blackroot Vales are going to be an absolute pain in someone's ass trying to get into a camp, trying to get into recon. Like, they're just such a good defensive unit.
And
They're
as
intentional
noted
to
at the
watch.
chat, they're going
Yeah.
to steer through the Watcher.
That's so true, actually.
Someone has picked
3
the Watcher
watches.
meta, and
That's
they're like, "You're
huge.
going down."
That's huge, actually. I didn't even thought of that. That's such good. That's such good stuff. Doing here and 3 Blackroots. Genuinely. That is not great for the Watcher. That's really cool, actually.
If only you could shoot into combat as good, because that's the only downside here is that Watcher showing up and there's someone in combat with them,
Heroic
and
shoot. You want the heroic
your
shoot anyway.
Blackroot
You
Vale
want
are
the
just
heroic shoot anyway.
are just
You always want the heroic shoot.
it's
That's
true.
beautiful. It's perfect. It's perfect.
Is there a reason we don't think we've got max blows here? But because, like we highlighted in the last ones, where you're not planning on sitting back and shooting too
Good
much,
point.
and you
What
need models getting forward in the scenarios.
the Blackroots
But
don't
I
have
still feel like I
spears
would have
either, do
gone.
they? Which is weird. The only unit that doesn't have spears is the Blackroot Vale Hatches. I don't know. I think if you could probably drop a Coda and grab 2 more Blackroots, it wouldn't do you any harm, would it?
I mean, your 38 models, you can just swap out some men at arms, right?
Yeah.
But if you think about the scenarios at play, are you gaining enough from that,
That
from
probably is,
good
like you
shooting,
said.
having a couple of extra bows versus a couple of extra bodies that can hold a point or hold a quarter, or could be moving up the board to get off the other
The
side?
vibe has been quite low shooting, hasn't it? I guess that's the reason everyone's thinking, how much time do I want to spend hanging back, going pew pew pew? It's true they're terrible on
Are
Coda,
there
but
other
that's why I
big
give them
banner
speed, isn't it?
heroes like in Removal that don't have an extra banner scenario? There's quite a few, like Aragorn and
Alistar.
Thor or Thrain, whatever one of those.
Yeah,
Like,
Thrall.
those people that act as a banner, which don't physically have a banner,
Yeah, cancel the
um,
banner.
don't get the banner VP. So it's
Horse
what
and
makes Silverton
Postons.
so powerful. And the Dragon Emperor is they count. They are Empire areas are actually still count as actual banner.
Yeah. There is.
Blackroots are terrible in combat, but also the game's probably going wrong if you've got your Blackroots in combat.
Hopefully they're defending a few people against a few people at the back where they got 4 or 5 turns of shooting, and then they can gang up on 2 or 3 guys at once. And frankly,
I definitely don't hate it. I think there is a world where the scenario is just cool for you getting models forward and getting to objectives and stuff. So maybe ending up with 13 bowls just isn't where you want to be, or whatever it is.
You're a famous X-Men doubter, George. What are your thoughts on the 7 X-Men?
I don't hate. I'm a famous X-Men doubter when I use them as spears. I don't think the intention here is to have the X-Men.
No.
Like, these X-Men are going to be on the front,
They're
right?
going to be two-handing. Yeah.
I'm a famous X-Men doubter when it's X-Men versus Man-at-Arms supporting Military Warriors. I prefer the Man-at-Arms usually.
I totally agree. Of course you would. Yeah.
But when it's a front unit, I actually like the X-Men, and I think a sprinkling of X-Men is really useful. I actually don't even hate the sprinkling of clansmen. I would have liked maybe a couple of clansmen just to deal with pesky watches that show up behind your lines or things like that.
Can I share a view that there's a lot of pressure on Imrahil here to perform? He's the only man who can strike in this force. Forlong can fight against, troops okay on his own. Twin here obviously can't fight
What
against
does
anyone at
Imrahil
all.
start at? What fight is he? 5 or 6?
Six. So he's good. He's good. Don't get me wrong, he's good, but it's just him. That's always that makes me nervous about running like a Forlong Twin here. They're both really good heroes,
I,
but you end up with one
I,
strike
I,
on a
I
pretty.
agree, but what we've actually seen from the previous list is having just a solid battle line is what's going to win you a lot of these games.
That's
Just
true. That's
beating
true.
those big Moria hordes. Like,
Very true.
none of these, I mean, the Dragon Emperor, for instance, may be a bit tricky, but like, none of these none of these scenarios require big heroes. And I actually think we've seen the meta
Reflect that a
of the
little bit.
list that are coming actually reflect it a little bit
That's true.
with there aren't big Lendals, there aren't Gilglads, there
Except
aren't
the
any.
watches. The
There's,
watches. The
there's
watches
a
are
Bolg and
huge
an
to deal with
Azog
other
actually,
people.
and a
Interesting
Watcher, but
as Imrahil, because of 12-inch range on the banner, you can stay out of Watcher range just so far back that the Watcher can't even affect you, and you're still actually doing one of your key duties. This army will still win the fight with Imrahil 12 inches back.
definitely like a list that you're going to like to see, Sam. Like I think your list just sort of outgrinds this a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit better, right?
You
Like
haven't
it's
got
just in a straight up fight.
haven't got the
It's when
courage
we talk
I
about the
have.
value of your sort of Sullen and
Yeah,
Mouth list,
yeah.
that's where it gets value.
Cleans this one through, I
But
think.
also, Items in a no banner V tournament is just always phenomenal. It's a really good pick.
Cool. Handsome. Love to see the Coda too. Can I just say the final thing? I've got a heap of them, and I think they're a great unit, really underrated. People hate on the Coda, but I think it's always really cool to see them. They do some
I don't
serious
think it's
damage.
underrated at all. I think it's an overrated unit.
I think it's underrated because you think it's overrated. Next we have Iron Butterfly, Iron Hills. Dane Iron Foot, Lord of the Iron Hills on a boar. One Iron Hills dwarf with a spear and a banner. 6 Iron Hills dwarfs with spears, exchanging their shields for crossbows. That's spicy. 6 Iron Hills dwarfs exchanging their shields for mattocks. 3 Iron Hills Goat Riders. Then an Iron Hills Captain leading 11 Iron Hills Dwarfs with Spear and 1 Iron Hills Dwarf with Spear and Banner. Whew, what's happening here? This is spice all over the board. We've got
Again,
we've got mattocks rather than shields. We've got quite a few Goat Riders. We've got 2 banners. We've got spear and crossbows, which I don't think I've ever seen anyone run actually with Iron Hills before. I don't know why, but I don't think I've seen it. What's up? What do you think? What's going on here? This is crazy.
you're right. It's
Whoa,
lots of spicy meatballs on this
zany.
one. Double banner.
Double banner. And I think when we're talking about divide and conquer and being split up, these are 2 very slow moving but defensive blocks that are going to be split up.
Yeah.
And I think that double banner allows them to start maybe being a bit more punchy rather than always going, oh, okay, I've lost, I'm not moving forward. It gives them just a little bit more ability to move forward.
I see the thinking. I disagree with the thinking, but I see it. But I also think if you wanted to do that, you should have split your warbands up in such a way as to limit it. Because at the moment you've got all your shields on one side and all your crossbows on the other, and all your mattocks on one side and no mattocks, and and all your Goat Riders in one place. What you should have seen is 3 crossbows on each side, 3 mattocks on each side, half a dozen shields plus on each side, and then 1 or 2 Goat Riders on each side. That would have been the way to do it if you wanted to do it that way. I think at the moment you've just prevented yourself from doing that by the way the warbands are split up. Because
When we talk about big rock,
6 mattocks is not a great scrapping force.
Big rock list though, this is going to be tough for anyone to actually cut through.
Oh, for sure.
When we talk about needing like this is going to have a field day versus the goblins and stuff of just keep going away and your troops will do all the damage. Your heroes don't need to do anything in those matchups.
True. That's true.
3 Goat Riders is obviously very good for scenarios as well, and it's probably the right amount to take, even though they are as pricey a unit. They are very good useful.
But I just think I would like to see warbands split up a bit differently, and I just don't get behind the second banner. I understand the reasoning. I understand the thinking. Totally get it. But I don't. Yeah, I just don't agree with it. I think if you drop that banner, you can see max out both warbands, and you've got yourself up to 32
I
million.
like the 6 crossbows though.
6
I
crossbows.
really like the
Definitely
6 crossbows.
Yeah, it's good. That's not too
It's a good
many.
amount. It doesn't feel
Yeah,
too
that's
many.
exactly
Yeah,
right. Because you could have gone
exactly. It's not like
a
they've
full would
maxed
have
out.
gone far too many. But
Yeah.
any fewer, it starts feeling pointless.
Dane's going to be tough for
Mathematics.
anyone to deal with.
Yeah, Stain's
And the
one of those big
captain's
heroes
obviously
we
a
just
really
talked
good
about.
pick. Dane has March, I believe, as well, but
Yeah.
the captain with March is really useful. Dane with his Maelstrom bonus is obviously very useful for day 2 as well.
The Maelstrom, that's a good point, actually. Yeah.
Will be this.
Master of Battle on both of them as well, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, Master Battle on both of them,
It's
which you're going to need because you're only 5 might.
a cool
Yep.
army. It's a cool list. It just needs tweaks to the way it's, not even changing what's in there, just spreading it out differently, and probably getting rid of the second banner. That's what I would be doing. Bouncing. What do I always say when we do these things is that the more complicated someone's warband is, the more I think they must be. That's my shorthand for how good I am as a player, how complicated their warband is. And when I see that second warband with 11 dwarfs, 1 spear, 1 dwarf spear banner, it's not quite complicated enough.
The first warband's pretty
First
complicated.
warband's complicated. That's good, but they'd both be more complicated if you just mixed and matched a little more. The next
So,
one.
next one there. We got some backstory for this one, which Sam has offered to read out.
I'm going to take this opportunity and go over the bar.
You should turn your microphone off, George, for God's sake. Following the tragic death of Thror at the hands of Azog at the gates of Moria in 2790, Thrain resolved to avenge his father, and Durin's folk sent out a call for aid. All of the houses of the dwarves heeded the call of the Longbeards, and a mighty host was gathered from far-flung holds across Middle-earth. In 2793, the dwarven host sacked all the orc holds from Mount Gundabad down to the Gladden Fields, one by one. The bitter war was raged for 6 years until the mighty battle of Azanulbar in 2799 in the Dimril Dale below the east gate of Moria. Azog was slain by Dane Ironfoot, and the dwarves were victorious, though at grievous cost, with many an empty hearth and silent mine in the mountains of Middle-earth as a result. This force represents the advance part of one such contingent, mustered in haste at the summons of King Thrain. These dwarves are firebeards from the Blue Mountains, called Narfangoth in their own dialect. The kings represent twin princes, Lorgar and Morgar, the sons of the female King Drogar Bloodwhisker, sent as an advance party to assure Thrain the rest of the host followed behind. As befits a vanguard, they are lightly equipped by dwarf standards, save for the contingent under a grizzled champion sent to keep an eye on the proud twins. I haven't seen this list, but right here where it says, firstly, I like this. People should send more of these. But when I see this where it says they are lightly equipped by dwarf standards, someone is trying to justify bringing dwarf rangers. That's what's happening here. Yep. Someone has gone. I want to play dwarf rangers, but I want to make it look like I'm doing it for a themey reason rather than just because I'm a sicko, and that's what they've done here.
Look, you can do both. You can be a sicko and
That's true.
and with a good reason.
You can be both a
Yeah.
sicko and have a themey reason. So this one here is a dwarf king leading 10. George, you're just in time. I just called him dwarf. George, you're just in time. A dwarf king leading 10 dwarf rangers with throwing axes and 5 dwarf rangers with dwarf long bows. Sorry. Another dwarf king with 10 dwarf rangers with throwing axes and 5 with long bows. And then a king's champion group with 6 dwarfs with shield and 4 dwarf bows. Even the warriors have dwarf bows. They are shooting. This is somehow, despite my earlier rude comments about dwarf rangers, which I stand behind, this is dwarves for Khazad-dûm with 45 models at 650 points, with 6 might, 14 bows, and 20 throwing weapons. Now that's quite a lot of things, quite a lot of numbers. How is it that I think the largest army we've seen so far, or first equal with Corsairs, is the Kingdom of Khazad-dûm? How has that come about? And that's come about because of those dwarf rangers that I so rudely commented on before. What do we think of this?
Look, this is cool. It's nice to see a unique spin on things. Dwarf Kings is a cool choice.
Cool. It is cool. I would have said ludicrous is the word, but also cool. It can be both, as you said before.
Yeah, it can. It can. Look, this is a tournament where we are playing all of the maneuvering scenarios and 2 Maelstrom scenarios, and this is Not what I was expecting. This is a dwarf list that has gone heavy on bows, and I'm like, okay, you're doing that. Is it going to be cool?
My
Yes.
reaction too.
But how does it? My big question is, how does it play those scenarios? What's it trying to excel at? What's its plan to win? And maybe it's just someone who was just
March,
like, I'm going to bring some
4
things and
marches,
play, and it's going to be freaking awesome.
just marches.
Maybe. George is on mute or something. I can't hear him anyway.
I doubt I want to hear what he has to say on the subject anyway. He's a hater from way back. No, I still can't hear you.
Still can't hear.
Well,
He's
you're
clearly got something really important to
you'll
say,
figure it
so
out.
we'll just put words in his mouth while he's trying to figure that out. On the other hand,
King's
look, if
Champion
you're
is a.
dwarves,
What are we talking about?
yep,
Hang on.
if you're dwarves and you're going to move slow anyway, then at 45 models, is it okay to just go, okay, cool, I'm going to go and grab that table quarter, I'm going to go grab that objective, and I'm fine with leaving a chunk of dudes behind because we're not particularly fast anyway, and playing the archery game, are we going to try and leapfrog? I'm just really interested to see how this list plays the scenarios.
Hello.
Hello, there we are. You're
Hey,
back.
George, you're back.
40
Yeah.
warriors with 14 bows is okay. You can be 40 warriors means your bow limit is 39 warriors means your bow limit is 13, and your 40th warrior takes your bow limit up to 14. So you are
14.
the maximum possible bows. It is definitely legit.
What I was saying is I think you just deal with the scenarios by having 45 models.
45
It's a
models.
pretty good solution to a lot
45
of scenarios,
dwarf
just have a
models,
shit ton of models.
notably, not just your common or garden model, but
What's the
dwarf
defensive
models.
ranger?
5, is it?
Yeah, it's still not.
I mean,
It's fine.
that's solid, respectable. There's 45 of them. They're all 5-4. There's a couple of banners.
When we
Wolf
spoke
Runkles.
about not having big heroes that care about watches or witching shutting
This
you
is the
down or anything,
ultimate. Like this coming into a goblin battle line. These things might as well be, half trolls for all you're gonna be able to kill them.
I
You know.
I would love to see this against the Lurcher Scout. Just one big, like non-shield wall skirmish.
How wide? Oh, you got to get that
Yeah,
match
just
up.
how
Just
wide can the
broad
battle line
wide, a
be?
40-inch wide battle line. You know what? That's where you want a second banner.
Ah,
You see,
Do you?
this list
Dwarves with the
has
second
two
banner. Dwarves with
banners.
the second banner is going
So
to
there we go. Yeah.
clean up on that
Okay.
40-inch wide battle line. Hey, what the Loot Scouts? Is it a 3-banner list? Possibly it's a 3-banner list. Loot Scouts. Maybe that's the secret.
Get
Little
off
body
it.
problem.
Get off it.
The 3-banner problem. Yeah, look, I mean, it's 20 throwing weapons fundamentally, on top of the dwarf bows, which are some of them are dwarf longbows and some of them are dwarf bows. My gripe with dwarf rangers is that you take a dwarf which is meant to be slow but very tough and make it just as slow but not tough anymore. And in exchange, you get some pretty basic shooting. I just don't, like.
I like Dwarf Rangers. I think they're a cool wee unit. Good utility. The 24-inch bar is a lot better than the 18-inch
That's true.
strength through bar.
But yeah, if you're looking for dwarf shooting, don't play a Cousin Doom, I think is your answer. And also, I have less of a problem with them as a sprinkling in of things. I have played against people previously, some of whom may even be in this chat if they haven't left yet, who have brought hordes of dwarf rangers, and I have found them to be whelming, pretty whelming. They just they're mid. They're mid. But hey, 45, yeah, that solves a lot of problems. It's just numbers, You can't spam top quality stuff.
Wolf King fight 6?
Yeah. How are they?
What
Kings?
what a profile.
King's champion, isn't he?
What?
Wolf King fight 6? Must be.
I think it's fight 6. Profile. Great list. I like it.
Strike anyway. Yeah, that's look, it's that's what's Silent in. I just think too many ranges. Right. Next up we have the return of the king. We have Aragorn with Undril and a cloak, leading 4 warriors of the Spear and 6 with shield. We have Legolas with Elven Cloak and Armor. And then King of the Dead, leading 2 Warriors with Shield and Spear, 3 with Shield, and then 2 Riders of the Dead. Always nice to see. 20 models, 7 might, 1 bow.
That one
What do you
bow
think?
could
1
technically
bow,
be 3
1
bows
bow.
as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
1 special bow, 1 very
Yeah.
magical bow.
One, yeah.
Special little bow.
Pretty much spot on Return of the King, right?
I think
I
so.
can't see
Yep.
a single change I'd make.
I would again do the spread the warbands out a little bit. I would like to see a rider with Aragorn. And maybe a couple more warriors
I
with the
think
king.
I'd like to see just the riders with. Oh, no, none of the heroes. Maybe the riders and legalists in a warband are their own.
Oh yeah, I can see that as a skirmishy kind of.
Is it
They've got the same
is it
flying
divide and
ability.
conquer?
Yeah, it's
One
I
of these
don't
warband
know.
has to
So
be on its own.
I see we're well and truly split on this. I don't think you need the riders with Aragorn because Aragorn is he acts as a
no
banner for the
1 rider with
spirits.
Aragorn. I agree.
So why put anything there that's probably going to run away when you're running, this few models? Riders with the king gives you the option that they can speed away and do something, or it's 2 extra bodies huddled around that harbinger effect.
I mean, I would do it so you give 1 rider to Aragorn so it's more spread out. I'd give back and return a couple more warriors because I agree with you about the Harbinger thing. I just think, again, it's balancing the warbands out thing. I just, why put both the riders in one place when you could put them in 2 different places and have them come up from different directions, If you are playing, we're talking
See,
divide and conquer, why have both the riders at one end, when you could
yeah.
just have them 1 at each end and just go,
See, I like both at one end. I think I would put Aragorn and the King of the Dead in one corner, and then Legolas with 2 riders on his own in the other corner. But
I
it's
think the
also
general
one star.
consensus here is the list is good. We're just quibbling about where everything goes, right? So if we get
It's
back to the
important. Warband
actual
distribution
list,
is very important, and I think people
yeah,
probably the number one sin that I see in lists that come in is people who have a good list but just do the warbands in a thoughtless kind of way. Like all the right stuff is there, but it's in the wrong places. That's the biggest sin I see. And so whenever I see
I wouldn't go as
chance of warband in
far to
front of it,
say. I wouldn't go as far as say this is a thoughtless.
no, I'm not saying this is, but that's in terms of like what we'd see a lot of lists coming in. And for me, the thing that sticks out the most is so many people who just have a good list but just put things in the wrong place. This is not that. This is like move 1 rider, swap it for a warrior at best, and even that is
Because
dubious.
I
But there
mean,
is, I think, the previous one with all those Maddox and crossbows in one place and all those shields in the other place, just mix and match more.
my argument of putting 2 riders with Legolas, just you can also just have Legolas on his own. Does the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in how they deploy this in Divide and Conquer though. I think you have to put Legolas on their own, which feels okay.
No one's going to go back to deal with him, but he's still going to be a pain in the butt from over there. But you're not
Yeah.
going to send a whole warband to sort him out. Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
no, you're probably not. It can be a null drop. He doesn't have March, so he's not going to get anywhere particularly quickly. But once he finds
He's going to start
a
with
lovely
horses.
little piece of terrain to hide in and start shooting things,
and your whole
suddenly
actual army
you're
is
all
going to be
like,
together.
oh gosh,
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely way to go.
Yep.
That's a really good way to drop it.
Good list, good amount of spears as well.
Good to see spears. Always good to see spears. Always
Yep.
good to see spears. But yeah, I mean, like I said, that's what this says on the tin. There's not really there's no decisions to be made, really, is there? Well, not many. It's just it does what it does, baby. All right. This next one might be the last one. Might have one more actually. I think one more after this. So, the Riders of Theoden.
I can read this one out.
Go
Being
on,
my
George. Go on then.
so we have very basic riders of that. Oh, it's a little different. Theoden, 3 Royal Guard on horse. Gambling, 3 Royal Guard on horse. And then Durnhelm on their own. Then we have a Captain of Rohan with horse and heavy armor. 2 Rohan Royal Guard on horse. Captain of Rohan with horse, heavy armor, and a shield. 2 Rohan Royal Guard on horse. And then Dalewine, Chief of the Kings on horse. For a total of 17 models, 18 might with gambling and 0 bows, and notably 0 throwing weapons, and notably 0 AMEs is probably the big talking point.
I think of those, the throwing weapons is the talking point rather than the AMEs. I think no AMEs is pretty broadly accepted wisdom now, isn't it? Unless you get like all the way to 100.
I think it's at 650. I don't think AME makes up his points. I think 2 captains is just sort of infinitely better. It just packs a bit more of a punch.
Yeah.
I guess the things I'm trialing. Realistically, the context for me is this whole list is trialing out for what I'm taking Arcticon. I know I'm taking Rise of Thad, and I'm just trying out a different variation with no throwing spears with this tournament.
What does
You
no
can
throwing
drop all the
spears give
throwing
you?
spears.
Yeah.
So you drop all the throwing spears and drop a shield off one of the captains, and you get a whole extra royal guard. So you get up to 10 royal guards, which is pretty big. The other issue is having half throwing spears, half not throwing spears means you have to convert half your riders or half your royal guard with throwing spears and not having throwing spears, which I couldn't be bothered doing. So it's a lot easier to say none of them have throwing spears or all of them have throwing spears. But no, it's a fun list. It's my favorite list in the game. I absolutely adore this list. I'm not a huge Elfham
I
fan.
was gonna say that's your main.
Maybe at
Yeah.
certain points he can be useful. The defense is nice.
I see. For me, I don't think
But
it's a points level which I'd ever run Elfhelm. I just don't see him being. He just can't keep up. He doesn't do what everyone else wants to do on this list. I don't think he can keep up.
I think he's useful for skirmishing off his own, bringing 3 might, and being a heroic defense. He's got a place in that context. But yes, like for instance, some of those Azog and Bolgliss, he's the first model you can want to charge into them and try sniper wag or whatever it is, and call that heroic defense. Often now you have to do it with gambling, which is a little bit dicey. But also, no ban of VPs means you're not as worried if you're losing gambling. I mean, it still sucks because it's a pretty pivotal piece, but lots of March, and the list is also the other nice thing about not having gambling and not having AME. You get double captains.
Yeah.
You get a lot of March.
Yeah, I think you wrote the AMA. AMA to me again, he's the last hero you add, the first hero you take out when you looking for points. You don't at 650. There's not so many threats that you need AMA in there when you've got Thad and Daewine and Durnhelm already, and gambling to slow someone down. You don't need that fifth hero who can fight into heroes.
It's also just it actually hits a lot harder with 2 captains
Yeah.
or Rohan, weirdly enough,
Yep.
just because as an extra heroic combat off death,
Yep.
as an extra hero getting into
Yep.
combat, it's all of a sudden you previously had
AMA,
4, 5 heroes, now 6.
AMA is going to charge and kill 2 people in combat and kill 2 more people. A captain, 2 captains are going to charge and kill 4 and then combat and kill 8 in total. Like it's just better. Absolutely true. You don't need that extra stats.
But yeah, it's obviously it looks very similar to every other list I've run, but for me it's a little bit experimental, just trying out no throwing weapons and trying out the double captain, all in obviously preparation to go overseas with it.
Exciting. Fun to see how it goes into the Watcher in the water, the Watcher in the water, the Watcher in the water, the Black Riders.
The host of the Dragon Emperor,
Host of the Dragon
the auto
Emperor.
win priority, Pits of Dol Guldur is
Yes,
definitely a big issue as well.
And
There's
then,
the crossbows. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
It's also like yes, we talk about speed being important in a lot of scenarios. A lot of scenarios just require speed and model count though. So it kind of does struggle in things like whole ground, command the battlefield, even though it can end up everywhere, it doesn't always have the model count to do so.
Kill a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
You're going to make
yeah,
that
for
model
sure.
count come down to yours though. Is the same as the other thing. Like it doesn't start off high enough, but you're at 17, which is a lot for riders at 650. Really, like this is not a list
Getting
about
that
5
extra
models.
royal guards,
17 is
it helps a lot.
this is a huge riders
so
advantage
over
list.
over half of the lists have something that calls terror in it, just straight
Yeah,
up.
and that's just
So
see you later.
having that extra royal guard who's just like, I want to go there. That is where I'm going. Is not a bad thing
Yeah.
in this situation.
Totally true.
The no throwing spears are going to hurt. They are a really nice tool, but looking at scenarios and also just the idea of being a bigger riser that and appealed to me. Just getting 10 royal guard at 650 with all the heroes felt very, very appealing, and it comes at the cost of a shield on one of the captains. Obviously, being D6 hurts a little bit because you're a little bit more vulnerable if you just lose that roll off to a couple of troops, and you can die pretty easy.
Only the strength 4 troops. Like
Yeah,
strength 5,
only the
strength
strength 4
3 is not going to care. So I think it's not a huge
But,
drop. 7 to 6.
yeah,
Worth it
for sure.
the body.
You also the other thing is you lose a strike losing AML, which is a little dicey, but
haven't you've got 3 though, haven't you? You've got Daewine's got it, doesn't he?
you got Daewine, Durnhelm, and Theoden.
I mean, that's what I was saying before. Like, you don't need 4 strikes at 650. You just don't.
No.
Especially when you've got unlimited might like this as well. The chance to combat strike, the free strike with death if you need. Like, you've got so much striking. Like, it's not. Who cares? They're all striking for 5. It doesn't matter. All right. Next up, I think there is one more, which will be the last one, or is there not? That was the last one.
That's the last one. We did have one come in that was late, so I didn't get a slide
Right.
done.
That's why it's not. Oh, well.
Which I have that in front of me now. You don't. You're gonna have to listen to
If
my
you want to read it
dulcet
out, go for it.
tones
Sure.
while I read it out. So this is a Mordor list. So we have Gothmog on a Warg with a shield,
Here we go.
9 Moranons with shield, 5 Warg Riders with shield, 1 Orc Warrior with a banner. We have Gorbag with a shield, 9 Moranon Orcs with a shield, and 1 Mordor Troll. And we have Grishnak with 8 Orc Warriors with shield and 1 Warg Rider with a shield. So it's 37 models, 9 might, no bows.
I'm also hearing, did I hear almost no spears as well?
There are no spears in that list. It is all
No spears at all.
absolute in your face.
Gotta have
No
spears.
spears.
Gotta have
It sounds like
spears.
a lot of cab though.
What, 5 Wag
Yep.
Riders and Gothmog?
6 Warg Riders and Gothmog, and there's a troll in there.
That's right.
Yep.
Starter box special.
You gotta have spears.
You
Spears
know
are
what?
mandatory.
You're not wrong. This is a relatively new player, and their choice will have been dictated by the models that they have.
Hello. Fair play.
But
What can you say
you
about
know
that?
what? In terms of coming along to an event, they're all painted. That person's assembled them. They're coming along, and
Assembled them. It's good. Dan, talk about Dan by Fate and Praise Day, man. That person's, how low is the percent of this person you're sitting there? They've assembled their models. They're all in one piece. I'm not just bringing the sprues.
Look, I'm just sprues everywhere. Yeah, this is my Moria Goblin army. Does anyone want to buy some Moria Goblins?
That's how low
Yep.
that they don't do painting
Yeah.
competitions at Southcom. That's how low the standards are.
Look.
It's just the models are assembled actually, so they've done quite well for themselves. Like, come on, give this person a break.
Hey,
It's the starter box.
no,
They're not stupid.
Yeah. Okay,
I
so
love that
now
so
you finished
much.
ripping me out. You want to talk about the list? God,
They've assembled the models.
Yeah. they've assembled the models.
I mean-
They've painted the models. They've made some freaking terrain. God, get off this person's back. They're showing up to an event. Yeah,
Why? So
they're showing up. They paid their money. They're going to show up and they're going to play some games and have some
what's
fun.
the things in this list that mean you can't run as Army of Gothmog? Is it Warg Riders you can't do as Gothmog? And regular orcs, or you can do
Yes,
regular
Warg
orcs?
Riders you can't do as Gothmog. I believe you can do regular orcs in Army of Gothmog.
It's just
I
Moranons.
think it's just random.
Was
That
it just
might be the thing.
Moranons?
Okay,
I think so.
cool. Okay, that's what I'm just trying to think what that was. Yeah. What I guess what do you? Okay, let's look at it as what are the next things you get to stack it up. If you try and stack it up, I think you want a box of Moranons, so you can get some more Moranons and fewer and no basic orcs, and some spears.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chat has said get that Managoroth and a Garrets. We've
Yep.
already seen one of those armies today, and
sure.
we were talking pretty favourably about what they bring to the table there. So, yep,
Even
agreed.
now.
What's that, George?
Yep, Mouth of Sauron.
Mouth's very good. But I think if you just get that box of Moranons and a Goroth and a Garrets, you've got yourself a sweet little army of Gothmog there, which is a great little army that doesn't require, doesn't require almost anything more than you've got now. It's one box and plus a couple of models.
But
easily borrow them or find
also-
them or steal them. Or
Absolute kudos to this person bringing a starter box special along to a tournament. The key thing is just going up and having some fun.
You have to. I mean, who among us hasn't started off with an army and gone the first event and come out and gone woof? All right, next thing I need
Absolutely.
is ABC.
And you know what? You show up to the event, you play some things, and you go, "Oh,
Yeah,
I like the way
I
that
like this
played.
one."
I liked how that worked."
Mhm.
And that's when you
Or
start
that person
going,
had that thing
"Okay,
that was so cool. Yeah, exactly right. As everyone starts off, I think that's really cool. I'm pleased to see that.
Yep.
But yeah, I was just thinking in terms of next things to get. I think those. I feel like that's army of Gothmog feels like a great army. You can pick that and you can bring it for you can bring it the rest of the year. You can bring it for the next 18 months quite happily. It'll play well. It's good fun. It's almost nowhere.
In traditional fashion, I really like to ask everyone what their favourite list was out of all of them to wrap things up.
Yes, true.
Sam, what was your favourite list of the lot? And actually, actually, I'm going to ask you two questions. What do you guys think is your favourite list, and what do you think is the strongest list?
Yeah, I'm gonna say.
I was
one,
contemplating
two,
the same
three.
thing that's come through in the chat. Watch a 1, 2, or 3. Which variant do you want?
I think objectively the strongest list is probably the DE because it always is in every event all the time, no matter where you go. I think if we take that out of the mix, I think Watcher 3 is the one that I'm most nervous about coming up against. I think Watcher 3, which has
Mhm.
double bats and still has 42 odd models. That makes me nervous, both because it's a watcher and all the watches make me nervous, but also just the fact that we spent the first 10 minutes talking about those first two lists of what they needed, and then bang, this person drops the one that we said did all the things, makes me think that's possibly an indication of a pretty solid player, or at least somebody who's done the one that we thought was the best spread outs of watches. That's right, the strongest one. I think my favourite one, I'm going to have to say Black Riders. I really want to see how that goes. I have such an affinity for that. And I remember myself this time last year just sort of barely starting out with it and trying to figure out how it works. So keen to see how that goes as well.
Yeah, cool. Damien, favorite and best.
My favorite is the Grand Army of the South because it's just it's bonkers amazing. As I said at the time, you win big or you lose big, but my God, you're showing up to do a thing. And look, I've run Mimic myself at lower points values, and you know what?
Yep.
There's something a little bit
Higher
special
rates.
about finishing a game in 20 minutes and then going, you want to re-rack and go again, and just getting a whole extra game over everyone else at the
Sorry,
event.
people are giving you an extra. If I'm playing a Mimic and the game's over in 20 minutes, I'm not having a rematch. I'm saying, thank God that's done with. Let me out of here. I'm going to take an early
Oh, see,
lunch.
the problem is, Sam, people enjoy playing games with me,
Ah,
and they want to play with me again.
there's the issue. Yeah,
Because we don't bring
I don't
Black
have that.
Riders.
I don't have that. It's been a
Yeah,
long time
yeah.
someone joined a game against me.
I'm gonna give my
Strongest.
my best pick there, strongest pick there. I'm actually gonna go for Pits of Dol Guldur. I
Yeah.
I think that that's got a bunch of tech there that's going to serve it particularly well. I obviously have my thoughts about not bringing a Warhorn, but I've also made that decision myself, so I think I understand what that person has
Can't
done
judge.
there.
Can't judge.
But I think that Pitts is feeling real good to me. So back to you,
Yeah,
George.
I'm
Favorite and best.
terrified for that. That's the being a rider or a hunter player, and the cliche being if you win that second move off, you're usually feeling pretty happy, and when you're guaranteed to lose that second move off, that's a scary thought. I think my favorite list is probably Lurt's Scouts. Maybe I think it's really neat tech for the tournament.
That's true.
Um, I really like the Lothar and Khazad-dûm as well, but I'm going to give it to Lurtz's Scouts. And then, or the Dwarf Rangers actually. Oof. We'll go Scouts, we'll go Scouts. And I think the best list is, I think as Sam mentioned, it's hard to look past Dragon Emperor. It's hard to look past Mordor Sully. I think they're both just arguably very strong lists. I think Pitts is up there. I actually think the Fiefdoms is a bit of a sleeper as well. I think Pitts is positioned
All the
pretty well
fiefs.
with
Jeez.
there's a
I think
huge amount
George
of
has just
He's just trying to
chosen a third of the armies as
just
his
trying to make
favorite and a third of
friends.
his armies
Oh,
at the
George, I'm
best.
so nice. Come on, George. Good content requires, people love the Simon Cowell thing.
Lurtz Scouts is my favorite, and the strongest is Dragon Emperor or Fiefdoms. Dragon Emperor. But if we're not including that, I reckon Fiefdoms is the coolest out of the ones I'm not going to include.
Pick a lane. Just pick
I'm
a
not even
lane.
sure what he's picked in the end, but just a
Dragon
proverbial
Emperor and
fence.
Mortal Sully are obviously two of the best lists in the game.
Great.
They're always going to be there.
I think it's really interesting that people are coming to Southcon and they're like, let's net deck the best lists at 650
I
points.
think there is been an era of Southcon's probably the
It's
most
a very
competitive
competitive event. It's a very
event
you've
we've
got
seen
very
just in
good
terms of
players down there, and I also think
players.
only people, super casual people, aren't usually going to travel from Auckland to Dunedin for a Lord of the Rings tournament. You know what I mean? Like people coming to Dunedin are either because they're there and they've been cooked in the fires of Mount Doom and seems to make really good players down there out of a tiny scene, or because they are hardcore nerds like George and Denny and I, who make this like the main event of our year and go down for like a road trip and a whole thing. So it's only the real losers who are going to this. So
Sam, every year have this weird tradition with Southcon where even though we're both flying in from out of town, we both fly to Christchurch and then really enjoy road tripping down.
so
We
great.
could just fly direct to Dunedin, but we enjoy the trip. Typically,
True.
where a lot of my finals prep gets done, as I just come up with ideas for how I'm going to run finals and prizes and things like that. It's a road trip I really look forward to every year. And then again, I could fly back from the tournament, which would make a lot more sense because it's Sunday night and I have to go to Auckland. But nope, we'll drive for 5 hours and then I'll fly the next morning from Christchurch.
Hell yeah. It's so much fun. It's the highlight of my year. So that's why Southcon has got all these high level lists. And can I just say also, accusations of net decking are not to be. I mean, like if you come into this game brand new and you bring your DE and you bring your Mordor Solidan, okay, maybe you've net decked it. But I think if it's me and Denny bringing
We,
those lists, we've been around long enough that well, this is stuff that we can pick on our own. So it's not quite net decking.
That holds no water, and you fucking know it.
No,
It's like,
do you
why
think?
I didn't
Honest to
copy my
God,
stuff from
no.
the
Honest to
internet.
God,
I
honest to
come
God,
up with it on
I
my own.
I don't know what the GBHL. I pay no attention at all to that. No, I genuinely don't. I had no idea. I wrote this down. I've like a bit of paper at work. I was like just like doodling. Like I did the points for it, and I did it. And I came to George with another list. He was like, "Nah, what about doing Mordor's Mordor Silver?" And I was like, "Oh, great! This one that I wrote literally yesterday down here on this list. Cool." So honestly, I do not track. I don't know what the GBHL even is. I don't not
I,
have
I
any clue
really
what the
like
lists are.
I really like Sam came to me being like, oh, like what is a mortal kind of like vaguely what would it vaguely look like what you would put? And I just listed off like some numbers in my head and I'm like, oh,
Dude,
hopefully it ends up about 38 models. And then he's like, that's ridiculous. It was exactly 38
he
models.
literally just like typed this, and it was points perfect and model count perfect. He was just like something like this, something like that, something like this, and it just added out exactly 650. It was uncanny. So
Look, to all of you out there that are looking at what's going on in other countries, other areas, other leagues, and copying lists, that's cool. You do you.
of
Um,
course,
don't try and do Sam and be like, I came up with this on my
I
own.
genuinely
Just,
did.
just admit that the internet is a thing, and we have the entire power of all of human knowledge here in a computer the size of your hand, and
I
that's fine. It's okay to seek help.
I don't think we embrace other metas enough. I like when I see people bring in GBHL 100 stuff in our tournaments. It's cool. There's a reason those are good lists and we should be playing them. They're fun. Like I said,
Absolutely.
the Mordor Silly list is a really cool
Massive
thing of
overseas. It's massive in the GBHL.
yeah,
I
it's
just
the
know
best
that
list
for
in
the
the game.
list. I
It
genuinely know
is
that for
hands
this
down
recording. Can I say?
the best list in the game
God, how do we
at
mute
this point.
Sam?
But also, like we said, it's not abrasive. It's not an in your face and unpleasant game
Oh,
experience to play
isn't
against
it?
that list. So
Oh,
I'm all for people playing.
is it too late to change, Damien? I'd like to bring something abrasive in your face instead.
But for Sam to claim he came up with the list all on his own
No,
is
I didn't.
an
I didn't. I
absolute
didn't.
madness of a statement.
I wrote it. I wrote a slightly worse version of it, and then went to George the next day, and he was like, "What about doing this?" And I was like, "Okay, here's this slightly bad version of it." And George was like, "Do this slightly better version of it." So,
And then Sam took some of the stuff I suggested and just added more will to the Witch King, and then that was the compromise.
sorry, when you gave me this, anyway, I'm not going to go there. Witch King has the right amount of will. Some people here have too little, some people here have too much. I have just the right amount. I'm Goldilocks. I'm little bear.
And look, I agree with your comments there, George, about people bringing other stuff into the New Zealand meta. I was chatting with someone the other day actually around how 5-ish years ago, New Zealand meta just wasn't running cavalry. It just wasn't anything that we did. And then we had someone fly over from overseas, come to finals with Gav, and everyone's all like,
Wow,
what are these
these are
things that
great.
move 10? What the heck? It's sometimes it's what the meta needs, right?
Yeah,
We have a limited pool of players, we have a limited pool of models, and anything that comes in and disrupts that and makes people think differently, even if they're not
yeah,
ditching their list and
yeah.
bringing a new one, it's, oh, what tools do I have in my toolbox for my list that I have that combats how this is moving? And that's interesting, regardless of where you got the idea from or not.
But also, I think the other benefit we have is while the rest of the rest of the world are complaining about we haven't seen releases forever and there's a stale meta and we see the same list at every single tournament, we've barely even seen the list that are winning at their tournaments. We still have a whole
We've got several years of meta left to sort of rotate through
yeah,
before
we've
we
got
can get
several
to.
metas to get to that point, which is exciting. Like it's cool people bringing in these new lists because they're not typically what we see.
Yeah, some of the shit I used to, even like 3 or 4 years ago, some of the stuff I used to run that I got away with, the thought of running it today, I would just be shot off the board, like just oh dear.
Did you get away with it?
I mean, I'm more than I would do these days. Like these days, I would feel like I couldn't even submit a list. I wouldn't even do it as a TO joke list anymore. Some of the stuff I used to do, but All right. We are losing viewers, and rightly so. I am tired. It's late. We've got through the list review. We're just, satisfying ourselves now. So I'm going to bid the people of Twitch land adieu. It's been a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for all your chatting and interacting. Thank you for watching us. We got up to like 15 people at one point, which is pretty impressive considering what a waste of time this is. So hats off to you guys. Slash, don't you have anything better to do? Get a life in equal measure.
This is why you don't have followers. I come up with this myself. Let's insult the
We
people
need
that are
some.
watching
No,
us.
people like a bit of spice, a bit of zip zap, bit of banter, a bit of chat. Nobody wants
I
George
like
just saying,
Black
"This is a
Riders.
great
Your
list.
Witch King
This is
is
a great
wrong.
list.
I
This is a
hate
great
you as a
list."
viewer. What the, come
I do
on.
like Black Riders, and they like me clearly. I can't wait to see how this person goes. If Black Riders player, if you're watching and you want to hit me up and chat about it beforehand, genuinely do it. Sounds like great fun. Right. I'm glad you aren't bringing a watcher. We don't need 4. It's bad enough getting 3 beers at DennyCon. We don't need 4 watchers. Jesus. Hey, anytime. Happy to roast. Happy to roast. I promise I'm much nicer IRL. I'm also nice here. I just think, can't all just be saying. We can't just say every list is great, flawless, perfect, because otherwise, what's the point of being here? All right. Lovely to see you all. Bye, team.
Wow.